The old man waves his hand down the passageway as it disappears into complete blackness where the lamplight ends. We've done it, my boy. At long last, we've entered the tomb at Empress Rest. Don't be frightened. We have some simple work to do. And besides, we've these men to protect us should things go sideways. The old man gestures towards the 4 heavily armed men standing just behind them, and then gently nudges his lamp bearer forward. Once the boy is out ahead, he shudders. There's something wrong here. He can feel it. But he's being paid a lot of crowns to find the Onyx Falcon, and his guards are being paid a lot of crowns to make certain that he doesn't die trying. You guys, when we last left off, let's see, you found a shady merchant at a caravan place in Kipsani, said some goodbye to your newer and more powerful friends. They took off back across the sea. You got in the caravan with the queen. You terrified this man, made a small child pee himself. A couple other shenanigans happened along the way. Then while you were caravanning across the desert, you exploded a giant manticore, basically. It was dead before it hit the ground, which was cool.
Yeah,
and
cool.
And then you were not ambushed because you knew the ambush was coming, but you had a confrontation with a group of people that you thought were going to be bandits, led by an individual known as the Red Scarab, who turned out to be Razia Callington, somebody from the future who is in the past, and a bunch of shenanigans happened there. You found out the Empress is an elf and that she's Felindor's sister. And after all that wrapped up, you continued on to Emperor's Rest to bury the Emperor, and you got near the tower that leads over the Walking Bone Canyon, and you realized that there was somebody already there. So Jeffrey decided to polymorph into a bird and attempt to go do some spying, and he got some good spying done, but he was also attacked by a large undead bird as well.
Which was important.
Which was
Jeffrey
initially
was
invisible?
Yes, because Jeffrey was invisible.
And it ate the back of my head with its feet.
Yep, it hit him hard. So, and that's where we left off. You guys are about a quarter mile away from this tower, and you've gotten some intel.
Wait, it wasn't invisible. It saw him, and he was invisible.
Yeah, T was invisible.
Jeff T. And then I made my way back to the group, and things are getting weird. So we need to go kick some people out of some place and bury a king.
They said, you may have said this, and I'm not remembering, but they said that we couldn't. Back? Yeah, they said
they claimed this territory and we couldn't have it.
Yeah,
or we couldn't come in or something like that.
Yeah, I think did we? That's like the last thing that happened. Did we?
Maybe I don't remember you guys approaching the tower, but that is what they would have told you.
We had a conversation.
Because they said that they basically took possession of the land, which is what set us all off, on top of being attacked. But
were we going to try to be diplomatic first about it?
I don't believe
we were initially until they said we own this land and we know that they are not allowed to own it.
Mm-hmm.
Did we even
they told
like
us we could camp the night and then we
would, so we intended to, but did we actually like say anything though first?
No, we haven't said anything.
Okay, but we intended to, but we haven't actually said anything yet. Okay.
I don't remember if we said
I don't
that
think
we were what we were doing.
We said that we're coming to bury a king.
No, I don't think
Maybe
you guys talked about what you were doing at all.
I don't think we said anything yet. Like we literally said nothing. Like that was shouted at us.
We shouted at them back. We had mentioned, because they asked why we were there. We said we're here to bury the Emperor. They said you can't.
They did tell you to take him back across the sea. Yeah, I do remember that too. Guys, I have to restart Fantasy Grounds. It went to basically a white screen of death for me. So
that's not good.
White screen.
It's just blank and white. Like everything on the computer kind of bonked for a sec, and then it all came back. But Fantasy Grounds visually did not come back, so I'm restarting it.
By Fantasy Grounds.
Didn't want to let me close it at first.
Are we going to try any more diplomacy, or was that kind of like?
I believe that was the last of the diplomacy that Matt was willing to do.
Is that too much of a slap in the face to even try any more diplomacy at this point?
Yeah, that. We have some powdered diplomacy in kegs that I'm pretty sure we can drop on them.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, we're walking diplomacy. It's pretty much been our MO since the start.
As a statement, I'm fairly certain Jeffrey would like to coin the phrase powdered diplomacy for gunpowder now.
Yeah.
I like it. I actually thought that was really nice. Powdered diplomacy. Yeah.
The Black Barrel Accords.
One way or another, we're coming to an accord. Either in pieces or together.
Okay. So, well, then I will share a map with you of what you can see now that you're closer to the tower. As soon as I get back in.
Yeah. Yeah, because the bird that attacked me definitely didn't seem like a normal bird. It was undead in its appearance.
Game's up.
And very clearly able to.
Yeah, I want to say that it clearly showed signs of intelligence that undead don't normally.
It was like a familiar.
Or otherwise, yep.
Yeah.
Or just a magical bird. I mean, we've made things that do weird stuff, so like it's not outside the realm of possibility for it to just be a really smart, creepy bird.
It's definitely something we probably created.
Yeah. We also know that Orcus had made deals with a whole bunch of people topside during his attempt at taking over, and it's very likely that Copanis, as well as our own neighbor, had this kind of stuff going on
a lot.
But
yeah,
kind of like I posted after our session last time, Jeffrey very much has the perspective that this is what happens when we don't take care of things. They become our problems. So
yeah.
And this has definitely become more than just our problem, but clearly at the moment it's our problem. So, which is kind of what the Amplisordo folks said, is we manage things that become our problem. Until then, we kind of just let the world and the universe do its thing.
That's very much their MO. They're all about keeping balance and keeping everything from burning down.
What?
What?
I
don't know. I didn't say anything. I did too. So it's back up and running. As soon as you guys are all got your characters chosen and all that logged in, I'll pop the map. I think this is the most awkwardly quiet night we have ever had.
I just realized I'm slowing down because I just got done shoveling right before I turned on, right before I sat down, and that snow was super wet and heavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's disgusting.
I'm so glad I'm not there again.
Yeah, it's gonna be coming down until 1 a.m. or something dumb.
And then it's going to get nasty cold.
Yep.
Yeah, it is supposed to get real cold.
Well, I knew we were supposed to get some nasty wind, but I didn't know about cold.
Yeah, they're talking another polar vortex. Worst cold in 3 to 4 years.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I knew we were supposed to get around here we're supposed to get 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts.
That's no good.
Yeah.
Not in winter. That's terrible in winter.
Yeah, it's bad.
So, all right. So, can you guys see the center of the tower, or is it grayed out for you?
Nope, it's black.
It's black.
Nice. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I did it right. the way the tools are set up. I was
did
100%
it right.
sure. I did it right.
Cool.
Cool.
I can't move the
All right.
map though. That's weird.
That is weird.
I opened the combat tractor, but I can't move the map.
Maybe it'll come to you in a sec.
It might just be loading.
Yeah, I can't
So
move anything.
you do see on the tower there are several figures moving around. You're not 100% where they are. The walls are crellinated and they're quite tall, but peeking out between the crellinations in the front, you do see 2 ballistas.
Oh. Is anyone
Jeff
moving them?
Jeff was up here, so he would have
Mm-hmm.
he would have seen this too. There is a catapult in the center of them, in the center of the tower too. You can't see it right now, but yeah.
Okay.
You do know there's one up there, Jeffrey.
Noted.
And you guys are down over here at the edge of their range.
Where are we timeline wise after, like, how many days of travel has this been? 2 or 3?
Yeah, it was 3.
Okay.
3 out to the tower, to the valley. And then let's see, the Imperial family is going to hang back, but you do get the guards. They will come with you. So you have 2 NPCs and then whatever's in that tower. What do you want to do? They have
How
not
far away are
opened-
we?
Right now you're pretty close. You've gotten you're just outside of like easy shot ballista range.
So
Speaking
like
of that-
500, less than 500 feet?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, on the map you're much closer than that, but you guys obviously while you're getting ready for your attack
Mm-hmm.
are not that far out.
Does Jeff know if they're manned, or can we see if they're being manned?
He wouldn't
When I was up
anymore.
there.
And they weren't when he was up there, yeah. He did see somebody go down into the tower, but he just caught a glimpse of him as the trapdoor on the tower shut.
Okay.
So my initial thought is, Mav is going to ask Othig if he wants a dimension door up there, to
Yeah,
where there's other people hanging out.
absolutely.
I can take Thana.
You're not with us, are you?
Yeah, he's
I came
back.
back to you guys.
Yeah, he's
back.
back.
Oh, did you?
Mhm.
Okay.
I did. Which dimension door? Does that allow for an upcasting or no?
Mike, I
No.
still can't move the map
Okay.
or
Does
really
not.
do anything, so I'm gonna close and come back in.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's as good a plan as any, because Jeff can take Thanak and you can take Mav, and you can both dimension door up there.
Yeah.
Before we go up there, I think we give them one opportunity to stand down and cease and desist.
Mm-hmm.
And if they
Can we say it with the caveat that we want to talk? Like
Sure.
in earnest, like we want to talk first, so we don't want this to come to bloodshed.
I mean, I don't
There's
care
been
about
enough
that part.
Okay, I'm just like this is Ryan talking because
But-
Othig doesn't really care about that either. I'm just
Othig
trying to
says it
trying to
and then,
encourage us
like-
to do the right thing.
Kind of feels this like little piece of vomit coming up in his mouth, like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe we don't fight.
When
Othig
I-
needs
Sometimes
to
I play my characters, sometimes I don't.
does anybody have any more alcohol for Othig? He's starting to get sober.
Right.
No,
Oh.
no, Othig hasn't known sobriety very much.
All right. So
Otherwise, he's always
I'll
been
use
pretty strong.
thaumaturgy.
Yeah.
okay, cool. Then go ahead and make a persuasion check at advantage between you or Jeff, whoever wants
Yeah,
to do it,
Jeff, if you want to roll.
because you'd
Oh,
have some
sure.
time to figure out how best to present this. So this would definitely be a situation where you could persuade with advantage.
Yeah. Let's see. Skills. Persuasion.
Although honestly, this group getting together and collaborating on what to say should probably impose disadvantage.
It honestly probably should, but
What's the map?
Walking Bone Guard Tower. I can just reshare it too if you can't find it.
Okay, yeah, I can't find it.
Persuasion.
Thank you.
Boom, baby.
I can move it now. That's wonderful.
That'll do.
Good.
So
Okay,
weird.
so 31. You see there's a change in the way they're moving between the Krell nations up top, and then the front doors open, and you see a figure start to walk out. And as he approaches your group, it becomes clear that he is a tiefling. And he approaches the group and he introduces himself as Casadus the Red. And he thanks you for an opportunity to discuss the situation.
Does he appear? So, who do we know that was undead? We know the bird was undead, or at least looked undead, we should say.
The bird was
what-
undead.
Did we see anybody else that looked like they were undead?
No,
Okay.
Jeff never got to look at anybody, and this is the first person you've got a clear view of.
Okay. And
Oh,
he
he's not-
doesn't seem to be undead at all.
No, he's clearly a
Okay.
tiefling.
Okay.
Yep.
Why would he thank us when they so staunchly didn't
Ambassador
want to
still got
talk?
to embass. I don't know what the word is. Diplomatized.
Yep. So
They
let me
need
make
their
a roll for
diplomas.
him.
Diplomat still got a
He
diploma.
and he is very well spoken. And so the conversation goes on. He basically says, "Thank you for not attacking right away. I would rather have not had my men have to fire upon you."
Yeah, 100%. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Jeffrey. I'm a herald.
Why were you so stern about it?
These are the granite packs, and I can either introduce you as their herald or their harbinger.
He says, "It will most likely be the second kind, but I am under orders, and I am
Who
to
wanted
not
to
let
start the fight?
anyone pass this tower at the risk of mine and my men's lives, and I will take that stance."
Orders from whom?
From Cavasto.
What is a? Oh no, city.
It's a country.
What is a Cavasto?
I was like, I know that name.
I for some reason I thought it was Capanis, so when I heard Cavasto, my brain.
Oh no,
went, "That's not
Capanis
right
is
place."
the shady town you just came from.
Yep. So, I would basically say I'm looking for more of a name, I guess, not just a nation, because a nation doesn't necessarily represent itself. But I understand.
We are currently we are currently being ruled by the Demaxic family. Rylis Demaxic in particular. He is the one holding the power. He commands the armies, and I have been commanded to keep this tower from all outsiders.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you guys had this specific place under your control?
I have been here 3 months.
And do you have any idea why?
None at all.
Okay, just expansion, just okay.
It is right next to our territory.
Mm-hmm.
There is a narrow pass over the mountains in the back that lead directly to our city.
Oh, that makes sense.
If I were to wager, it is a forward outpost to warn of incoming attack.
Yeah, makes actually a lot of sense.
Mike, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
I know we sort of talked about this last week or last session with this, whatever, but I just want a refresher on this. Currently, like initially, when this was all a part of the United Kren Empire, this was, I guess that would have been under Kren control.
Yep.
But once the Empire went south,
literally,
this was considered neutral ground.
Yeah, that was part of the agreements.
So my question is that something that is that just like an unwritten rule, or is that something that like all the areas,
treaty.
like all the areas got together and signed some treaty?
Yeah, it's in the
paperwork?
treaties.
Did they sign that?
There's in the treaties, and you guys would know, even though you've never been here. There is a ziggurat dedicated to the Kren empires, and there was plans for construction of a ziggurat on the other side of the lake for the Free Cities rulers. So it was very much supposed to be shared, and everybody at the table seemed to be very amenable to that.
Okay, so I would telepathically tell Jeff to ask him basically by what authorities is he gone
Using
against the
to
treaty.
yeah.
Jeff, make a persuasion check.
On it. Is that one an
On
advantage or
whose
just regular?
authority?
No, this will be a straight one. No time to prepare.
Yo.
Can I use guidance on him?
I don't think you'll need to. Oh no, that's a terrible counter roll on my part. You don't see him sigh and slump. He has way too much militaristic poise for that. And he says, he says, to be fair, I am just a man of orders. He's like, you ask questions that I have asked myself. I have no good answers for you, but I will bleed against you to fulfill my role. I only ask that you take your emperor home and not cause bloodshed.
I'll know
say
that the Kren are capable of doing what you just asked them to.
Yeah, I would ask him. I would say, were the roles reversed, would you?
Well, as you can see, I am not a Kren. I would have been executed, slaved at best in your empire. I am new.
That's valid.
To, yep.
Is he an elf?
He's
No,
a tiefling.
Oh, tiefling.
No,
That's right.
but you're asking us to disobey
Our
our
orders.
laws and traditions.
I'm asking you to disobey your traditions. Correct. You are asking me to forfeit my life in either direction. If I let you pass, we are all executed. If I keep you at the gate and it comes to war, surely you will win.
But would anyone know if you just let us through?
Yes, I'm sure somebody would.
Make an insight check.
Okay.
Is Othing insightful? I don't even know.
Othing is extremely insightful.
Apparently not today, but
that's actually not horrible.
Well, it was not as well as I thought.
It's not as good as you thought.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got a 13 too. So he's kind of hard to read at that, but you do catch a flick from his eyes that kind of like look up and over his shoulder a little bit. But other than that, he's really, then he says, it is quite possible that somebody will find out.
The undead bird is dead. Oh, it's dead again. It's dead. It died.
Excuse me?
I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
Oh my gosh, it might be.
But the undead bird, I might have shot it out of the sky on accident. It did bite my head.
He looks really confused by that.
There was an undead bird on the tower.
He doesn't seem to track what you're talking about.
Are your bosses undead?
No.
Because I mean,
no.
Orcus with the whole, thing that happened just over the mountain.
Nope. Not that. Nope. My boss and Orcus, they not friends.
Are you sure? Because the Emperor had the whole, dagger thing going on.
He's like,
no one knew about that.
I believe I've heard of your daggering, but no.
Could he be?
Let's just say my boss is currently dealing with Orcus.
Can I try to read his mind while he's
trying
do
it.
I'm definitely trying to throw him off.
Be coy about that.
Okay. I guess in
14 plus 14.
Really, the only thing I think we're going to be able to do here is to intimidate these fellas or move past them. I mean, the reality is we're not going to stop.
Is there anything above his shoulder where he was kind of looking in that direction?
Oh.
You have true sight, correct?
Yeah.
There is a scrying orb floating back behind him. I totally forgot you have true sight. So you are being watched right now.
I don't know how to destroy those.
Yes.
Thanak, he is definitely thinking about Asmodeus. And when he references his boss,
he's talking. Okay.
I need to make a phone call.
As an aside, I don't know if I would know the answer to this, and I don't know if you know the answer to this.
I'll
but
make one up.
I
Guarantee that.
because of I have mind blank on me, I can't
Be sensed by
scryed
that
on.
scryed.
So you wouldn't
in
show up
this-
in the scry.
So it'd just be invisible, and anything
Yeah.
I say is invisible.
Yep.
Which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So I'm going to.
Wait, so you haven't asked anything out loud yet because you asked Tony to say things. So
The
for all
only thing
intents
that
and
I said,
purposes,
the
there's
only
no
thing
three
that I
people here.
Yeah, the only thing that I said was about asking us to turn on our.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
okay.
somebody watching who would have realized that he answered a question to somebody that
Is
wasn't
not there.
and then would, if the person's powerful enough, and if they're casting scry, that's a 5th level spell, so they're likely powerful enough to put those pieces together that there's somebody else in this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we under the understanding at this moment, basically, that Asmodeus is in charge of Kivasto?
It is with the information that Thanak just pulled out and passed along through the mind meld.
Yep.
Mav said, "Hey, we're being scried on." The question gets asked about who's your boss. He doesn't give you an answer, but Thanak peels it out of his brain.
Yep.
Barely. You had to fight really hard to get it.
Oh,
too.
did I? Did I really?
Where is the orb in terms of like reachability? Like Matt wants to go up there and just suck it up.
It's within 10 feet of you.
But
Of us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has to be within 10 feet of you.
I mean, but
Otherwise,
if
don't
there's a
make it go
scrying orb,
away
if
yet.
you suck it up, there's a good chance that his life is going to be forfeit then anyway. Because
don't suck it up yet. I want to in our brain say, do you guys want me to tell Devil Daddy that we'll come back down there and mess up his world some more if he doesn't let us bury our friend? Or like, because I mean, I'll go kill his dog again. I got no problem with that.
I don't think he had a problem with that either, though.
you definitely got the impression the last time you talked to him that you all got played.
Right. But
like
we're
he
more
let
powerful.
you win.
We're more powerful now, and we're bigger dicks.
This
Literally,
is
that's
true.
his fault.
But I'm just as the DM gonna really
Yeah.
got the impression that it was like dad letting his kid win at checkers.
Yeah.
Sure. That doesn't mean we're not going to cause some chaos and go
Yes,
mess up
but
his
we
crap.
can still take the checkerboard and throw it across the room.
You can still maybe do that.
Right.
That's a possibility.
I mean, we still have whisper campaigns in the hells going on about how worthless Asmodeus is. So,
you probably don't.
well, I guess we gotta go back.
I mean, it's a viable option to attempt to contact him. You do have, in some ways, an odd relationship with him, so it is. But
I think if we talk to him, the conversation should just be like,
We'll
hey,
EDB if we can bury the Emperor.
Let us go.
Do we still have the knight's contact information?
Sandcastle.
The
knight.
The noble knight.
Knight Noble.
Knight Noble?
T has his card. You only had one guaranteed answer though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, we have to pay the retainer, and he didn't tell me what the cost was. Do we want to inquire as to what his cost is?
Yeah, I mean, does he have a free consultation?
I doubt it. Devils usually don't do that.
I think inquiring about
Is
the
he a devil?
retainer.
You're not
Thought he was.
entirely sure what he is. He's a
Oh.
tiefling, as far as you can tell.
Right, devils. White devil.
I think if you inquire about the retainer, it's going to cost the retainer.
I mean, that's probably true. We could find another lawyer. I know a couple. We got Mav. He's a lawyer.
No, he just writes contracts.
You guys.
Call the Knight Noble.
Hey, what if we ask him, get Asmodeus on the phone for us?
Roll a D100 for me,
guy?
T.
On it. Asking this guy in front of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just call him out on it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Ooh, 98.
Whoa.
Almost
Really
there.
good roll. All right, so you will have the Knight Noble's attention when you make your call, but if you want to ask him, Ryan, if you want to take Ryan's path first, we can delay that.
Let's do that first.
Okay.
Yeah, just outright say it. Just be like, hey, we want to talk to Devil Daddy.
We want to talk to Dickface.
there's no insight roll needed. As soon as you like really play that hand thoroughly, he looks a little surprised, but not completely. I mean, he dropped a few hints that who he was talking about was a very powerful person, so it's not. It's and then he says, it doesn't work like that. He's the chain of command. I'd report to someone else who reports to someone else who.
Can I just look over his shoulder and be like, "You gonna come talk to us or not, you big weenie?"
At the scry.
At the
scry orb. Just looking at me like, "Hey, you big wiener, come talk to us face to face. Quit having your pets ear day."
Matt is going to take his infernal spear and just kind of stab at the scry.
It's like you're tapping the lens of the camera. Yeah, that's
Tink,
great.
tink, tink, tink.
Hey!
Like
Hey,
an old
come
man
here.
trying to figure out how his webcam works.
Gasadius looks really like just distraught. Like this is so bad for me. No matter what happens. This is
Yeah.
bad for me.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
we can
you should've
probably
known if it was
employ
a
you
granite
if
bag.
you want to join the granite backs. Just saying.
I do not. Thank you.
We pay better.
Doubtful.
That's probably true.
Yeah, but when you work for us, you don't die.
Not
Well,
right
He
away.
kind of looks around.
You can't say that. You can't say
Yeah,
that.
Emperor didn't work for us. Everybody that we know that has worked for us and died is now back.
That's not true.
No, that's untrue.
It's most of them.
I mean,
Most of them, though.
Uncle
You did
Ankum-
lose one of the iron fists in.
Oh, that's right. We
turnover-
lost
our
Az.
Turnover is kind of high.
Daphne is
It's
still
not.
dead.
No,
We
she
also
came back.
lost a lot
Didn't
of-
you say she
No,
came back?
Daphne didn't. Daphne's buried in Euros.
Oh, I swear you said when.
No, we
said
lost her
Grace
before.
came back.
That's right. I was thinking of Philomena, the bard.
Yep.
And
Not Daphne.
Phil.
Daphne is
Yeah.
back,
As
but
a-
you
as a-
lost the bard in Euros.
And
Okay.
Phil. We also lost Phil.
The others that too.
He didn't.
Yeah,
come back.
but I mean,
Did
Phil
Phil really
wasn't.
work for you?
Yeah, he didn't
Nah.
really work for us.
Everyone
I
worked
knew
for
you were gonna
him.
say, yeah, but Tony, whose fault was that really?
So he's not. He's definitely not interested in working for someone else.
Nope.
Maybe because he doesn't want to. Maybe because he can't.
Right.
Yeah,
Deals are
Yeah.
deals.
awesome.
He says, "Well, this conversation has been pleasant.
He's really not going to come? All right, I'm calling my lawyer. And that's when I'll
I
call
look
the night
forward
noble.
to seeing you on the field of battle."
Nah, we'll
Yep.
see you in court. And I'll just wander off like a Karen.
As he's walking back, I
Yeah.
could just cast reverse gravity on the top,
On the what?
on the tower, the
Tower.
cat tower,
You should.
Why not
do
cast it on the bottom of the tower? That could
Because-
be cool.
because I can't. The tower is a fixture.
Yeah, the tower's immovable.
Yeah,
The
the
people on the
things
tower.
in the tower would float up, but the tower will not.
If it's big enough
Yeah.
to encompass the outside of the whole tower, you might get it. I mean, we did it with a house once.
Yeah, but that's a house compared to a
Yeah, it's
brick
just
and
a-
mortar tower.
It's a big tower.
It's a
Where's the
big ass.
wand of wonder?
Yeah,
Lego tower.
but I
Lego
mean,
tower.
initially when we walked in, we saw that there was siege weapons on top. That
Mhm.
was my first thought. Is
Hear me out.
well, those are going out.
And I know the answer to this already because it's really awesome. But what if you lifted an entire tower and threw it on the ground?
I threw it
And
on the
then
ground.
That is a great gift.
Yeah, it is. There's one actually that like put a little like smiley face on top of it, and he's like, ah!
With the wiggly arms.
Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love the shades
you
at
call the
end.
lawyer, and Mr. Knight shows up, desk and everything, doesn't even look up at you, and he's like, the granite backs. You have 5 minutes before I start charging you. After that, it's 5,000 an hour.
It's not so bad.
Soul coins or gold?
Gold.
Okay.
Will
It's
suffice.
not so bad.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
but how
that's
much
not-
do we have? Not that much.
Fine, we've got 5 minutes. Go.
Yep. I'll explain the situation, ask what's going on, and ask if there's any, if we have any legal ground to stand on.
Contractually, you have much legal ground to stand on, but you don't have an opportunity to employ any sort of legal action.
Yeah, and the court's taking Asmodeus to court. I'm sorry, Dickface to court would take a lot of time.
Yes, I mean we could file an injunction, but it's not going to bury your friend.
No. Is there any other legal course of action besides killing all these people? Because I'd rather avoid doing that.
I could demand that they be removed and sent home, or demand that you have passage through. That might be successful. It's the first avenue.
Take.
I could do it within a few moments.
Yeah,
if it's unsuccessful, then you're looking at a long drawn out court battle or blood. You have 4 minutes.
Let's
do it.
Go take his offer.
Yeah, I
have
like
him
the
figure
idea
it
of
out.
passage through. I don't even care if these guys stay here. Honestly, after we bury... Hold on. As a real question, once we bury the Emperor, what's going to stop these jokers from just digging him up? Like, do we know anything about the process to know if he will be protected once he's in that space? Is this a, like... Is this a process that we can go through and they're not just going to, like, dig up his body and play with it?
I mean,
You
we don't know if they've even done that
but
already.
the Empress would have told you along the way that she would have explained some of this to you, and I will get into it later. But the ziggurat is very well protected magically.
Okay. So yeah, as long as we can get in there, and I mean, we can go home by any other means and wage war later.
So he does a couple of quick things he's writing, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to get this done in under 5 minutes." But I do have fees for such a thing. Would like to pay in cash or favors?
Cash.
What's the cash price?
Yeah.
30,000.
What's the favor price?
Favors will be determined at a later date, equal to the value of the injunction.
Of course they will be.
Of course they will be.
So do we want to pay 30,000 or blood?
I don't think we can afford 30,000.
We can't.
I think we can afford 30,000 either, and I don't know that we want to supply a favor.
So, as a real statement, guys,
30,000.
we do have the coffers back at our keep that are in excess of 50,000 right now because we haven't spent any money upgrading in a very long time.
You have not.
But we need to.
Right.
But do we
need to? But this is more important right now, and the Lower Crown Empire owes us that money. Then, if we just do this,
I don't know that it's really that important.
You know what? Next week you might be the emperors.
Right.
This whole thing might be the emperor.
So I think we can just let's just
pay it and be done.
Have him.
The question is does he need the money immediately?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
can he acquire the money, or do we have to do a money transfer?
Well, he would collect the coin.
Yeah.
That would not be a problem for him.
Yes.
Okay.
Pay the man. Mav, pay the man.
I will draw up a contract of $30,000 for the assistance in getting us into the building, whether it works or not.
Yep. He wraps it around a scroll wheel real quick.
30K gold, and we don't even know if it's going to work.
And he's like, man, coin is so much more boring.
I was going to say, what do you even do with coin?
Good day.
Well, he didn't do anything with it in the hells.
So Casadas isn't even halfway back to the tower, and he stops, and you see him cock his head up like he's looking for the voice that is talking to him, and he turns around, he walks back and says, "You have been granted passage."
Thank you.
Wow. All right.
I said good day, sir. I'll just walk past him.
All right. So you guys walk through the tower. When you're passing through, there's a large gate on the other side of the tower. There's the front entrance here, and out the back it leads to a huge bridge. It's wooden, and it's like a rope bridge, but it's made out of chain.
So wouldn't it be a chain bridge?
I guess, but that doesn't really bring up a
I know
reasonable image in people's minds.
I thought it was made out of bone, which I thought was very cool.
Leave it to Adam. We just achieved a thing, and Adam's like, "Will you just drop us in this ravine real quick?"
So when you get inside of the keep, the tower, it is just a pure shafted tower. There's not much on the inside. On the lower part, you see some bunks. They don't even look very permanent. They look like they were maybe brought with these guys, a few trunks. And you see Casadas, who is he looked like he had his crap together as a warrior. Like a bunch of him might have given you guys not necessarily a real challenge, but they had to put up a fight. The other 7, nah. You guys would have swept through these guys like a broom through dust. You just would have annihilated them. But they all looked very seriously at you, and get the impression they were all going to take one for their team as you pass through.
As we walk by, I'll just mention to them, find a better team.
You hear one guy said, "If only it worked like that."
Aw.
I mean,
That
we
guy
were
knows.
slaves once. I'm just gonna toss that out there. Like, you
He-
can
And
make
whose
your own.
fault was that, Grummy?
She's not here for you to yell at. It was yours
But
for
you
rolling
guys
so many ones in that fight.
successfully avoided having to wipe out a bunch of not tough soldiers.
Yeah.
Good for us, guys.
When we get to the
Good
other
for
side,
you.
when we get past the other tower, I do want to look for that bird.
Okay. So yeah, you and in Casadas, it was pretty clear he had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah.
None. Like they hadn't seen that. Then again, that's not necessarily the way they watch. So
Yep.
and you have seen other things in the air. Obviously, the Griffin was out there, so it wouldn't be unusual to see something flying.
But
Just
an undead thing is
nope, that was
probably
not a
concerning
thing
to
for
them.
him.
But
That's
that
right,
gives us a
so-
little bit of an ace in the hole that we have at least someone else that's possibly looking at screwing with these guys, who either we can ally with these guys against or ally with against these guys. So we'll see.
So this
Oh.
is what the valley looks like, where you're coming across. And as you're walking across this chain bridge, at first the elephant is a little nervous to cross this, but a little bit of goading gets them moving. Again, it is very sturdy. The planking is the size of large tree trunks.
Jeez.
And it's attached to another tower. And it's about the bridge is about a half mile wide. And you see down and you see the edges where this ravine was created and it collapsed down, and it's a good half mile, maybe even more than that, down to the crevasse. And you see still, 150 years later, the entire bottom is writhing with undead just walking back and forth.
Jeez.
Yep, most of them skeletized at this point. Very few look like they have any flesh on them at all, but it's
What
full of them.
caused that?
Orin, there was a
Mm,
war where one of the emperors back then went heavily into necromancy and
Gotcha.
raised an undead army, and
Yep.
it was pushed back to this point. And that emperor at the time, used some really nasty magic to drain the desert you just came through. Used to be a jungle,
A thriving
Yeah, I remember that.
and he
tropical.
yep, and he drained
utopia.
it to summon an undead army from another plane. And then Orin said, "Well, we can't stop it, so let's drop it in a hole." And took a bunch of dwarven miners down into the Underdark and dropped them into a hole.
I mean, it worked.
Yep.
Do we? So, having known that story and knowing the lore and everything, with the appearance of an intelligent or somewhat intelligent undead in the area, that's concerning. Like,
It would
obviously
be concerning.
The tiefling was a little sus about it. But
Yeah.
I think Jeffrey would also mention that to the group that we may want to do some research on that, especially with like the unliving and things like that being one of our goals right now. Like that might be related.
Yeah.
So yeah, being that you guys, and Orin probably wouldn't have talked about this a whole lot. He honestly during that time was just like an engineer for the army, who just sitting around with the other engineers went, "Why don't we do this?" and so his commander was like, "Yeah, take some people and go down there and do it." He got medals for it and whatnot, but he just never took much to the fame. So he's not like some folk hero that's talked about in the story. The story was given to the winning emperor that at the time, but you guys know he did this. You would probably also know that that emperor Zerlius is the only emperor to not be buried in the ziggurat. He is entombed in the mountain in the back that they call the Black Mountain, and there is a large magical gateway sealing his spirit in there.
We should check that.
So
We should
it
definitely
is
check
in the map. You can see that where the gateway is in comparison. So as you're crossing the bridge, though, something else strange happens. The Empress looks and says, "This is the second time she's here." Because usually when an emperor takes over for an old emperor, it's because they were defeated in mortal combat. This next game's because the emperor is already dead will be a little bit different, but usually it's a succession by combat. Zilithan and her escorted the dead emperor to the tomb last time, and she says
Oh,
the
yeah.
tower in the lake was not there.
The tower in the lake?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
There was the lake, but there was not a tower.
Yep. The lake's always been there. It's a Dead Sea kind of lake, so it's not fresh water. There's nothing that lives in it.
What's the
Salt
tower
Lake
look
City.
like as far as like architecture wise?
It's a little different than traditional Kren architecture, but it's close enough to where it could be definitely a variant of. It's basically a wide-based spire that slopes upward to a rosebud style crown on top.
Hmm. And how far, from where we are, how far is it to the tower?
It's pretty far. The map is a little deceiving. This isn't a to scale map.
Sure.
So the canyon where you crossed is at its narrowest point is a half mile wide. To the lake, it's another 6 miles, but you can still see the tower sitting in the middle of the lake.
I mean, is this something? Part of this is this something where one of us wants to like polymorph and fly out there just to get a better look?
I think it is, but I think we should deal with the Emperor first.
Yeah.
Get him
'cause
situated, get our job done.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
thinking I would like to
forward
come
with it.
back and check this out then.
Is the passage to their space there, or is it here, or is it up here?
It actually starts over here and then winds back the other way. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Winds back through there.
Yep.
It's a really long pass, but it's the fastest way without climbing up and down mountains from that side of the continent. And nobody really takes it because it's not functional, but it is there.
But they're worried about being invaded, so that's why they took all of this. Okay.
That's what you were told.
Yep.
So you're headed for the tomb then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should go there.
It's
Okay.
what we were given passage to, so we need to at
Everybody
least
make
obey
perception checks.
the terms and conditions of our lawyers handling, at least for now.
Yeah, now it's Thursday.
There it is.
I mean, seriously. Can
Oh,
count
come
on one
on.
hand.
Wow. Wow, guys.
In all
It was
of
so
our
close
time,
to flipping over.
I can
So,
seriously count on
Thanak,
one hand the number of
I'd
times
like to use my
I
luck.
used a perception check.
A couple
I
of times.
have lucky. No, I'm not gonna use it for this.
Okay. A couple of times, Thanak, you think you catch a glimpse of something flying around in the sky, but when you go to focus on it, you do not see it. And it is typically mostly in this area and then up further in this area, always towards the mountains.
Did I find the undead bird?
You did not.
But I did see where it fell, right? I had
Close
pressed
to
that
where it
part.
fell. You had a general location of, and it wasn't far from the tower at all, and it was near the road, but you
Yeah.
couldn't find it once it got there. You do
I'm
find
thinking-
that the dunes out here do shift a lot, though. The
Okay.
wind comes down and swirls in this area real bad. So
Do I have?
Mike, can I still roll a lucky?
if you want, if you
Yeah.
have lucky, absolutely.
I'm just gonna do it.
Mav, do you have locate object by chance?
Oh, they do.
Oh god.
Okay.
I doubt it.
I know that
That's
I
perception.
don't. So.
It's just perception with those things.
What about you,
Not very
Thanak?
perceptible.
Do you have
No.
locate object? Okay.
No.
No.
I lost my bird. I want to find it.
All right. So traveling on, and it's the better part of the day, you guys get to hear. And these two monoliths are huge, and they're covered with house symbols from the nobility that are all buried here. And you do see Zilithan's house symbol in the row. They start up pretty high, and then they move down throughout the pillar. And so it looks like that people have already been here and done some work. And at this point in time, the Queen would, or the Empress would let you know that the inside of the ziggurat is continually worked on whenever an emperor dies. New chambers are added in certain wings that she explains. Every emperor is buried in their own chamber, but they're all together in different wings based on how they lived their lives, so that in the afterlife they would be with people who are like-minded to them.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's not one ziggurat per emperor, it's one for all of the Kren, but it's even inside of that, there's still some division in that. And you get to the footsteps of the ziggurat, and you are told that's as far as the family gets to go.
Do we
Okay.
feel like that is correct?
That, yeah, it is correct. She would say
Okay.
that at this point, you guys as the honor guard would take him the last of the way, and they will not join Zilithan until they pass.
Okay.
Is that including and their guards are staying with them, correct?
Correct. Yep. Their royal guards will not leave them alone. That you guys as the honor guards take him the last leg. And then you would know this, that contractually, like the emperor's servants, and those who work on the tomb, they can sign up to be buried with him, but they don't get to do that until after they die. And every 5 years, somebody will bring a collection of urns and place them in the tomb.
Okay.
If
That's
people have died.
Sure.
So there's traffic that comes in and out of here fairly frequently, but not often.
Yeah.
Does it seem like the traffic is expected? Or that it's like the people that we encountered that shouldn't be here but are here?
No, the traffic level seems normal. That recently there had to have been some people who came here to work on the tomb.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, they got across the bridge, even though Cadius told you that they'd been here for months, that they got across. You don't know how that happened, but
Right.
Yeah.
Just probably more sneaky than we are.
Well,
I
are
w-
there any like animal life around here?
barely any at all.
Okay.
You'd see a few lizards scurrying around and a small amount of stuff. Very Sahara deserty feeling. Where, yep, there's probably a few things that live out here, but not much.
Okay.
I would turn to address the Empress and ask her if she is to wait here until we are completed and we come back to her, or it would be safer if we sent you guys home and we just went on ahead.
They
just
intended
asking how this works.
they intended to wait.
Okay.
They're already setting up camp at the base of the ziggurat.
Yeah. Okay.
She would ask you if you think that's a poor idea.
Yes. We were granted
Well-
passage by the lawyer. We weren't granted camp. We weren't granted freedom of mobility within this space. We were simply granted passage.
Well, you were granted the right to go and bury the emperor, so this would
Okay.
be included in that. So legally, I wouldn't pull any tricks on you.
Okay.
That way, and the Knight Noble, he's not nefarious in that sense. He's
Yeah.
definitely tricky, but he'd let you know the stipulations and guidelines.
Okay.
The only thing to add with that though is, like, what are we doing after we bury the emperor? Do we
We're
need to
gonna
have
check out
them
that
around?
tower. We're gonna
Right.
check out. We're gonna
Figured
check
we
out
would go back.
the gate to the north. Make
Um,
Right. I
the-
mean, are any of those things that we need to have the empress and her
You,
bodyguards?
no,
with
you
us?
don't. You don't need them around for that. You do know if you start snooping around, you probably will be in violation of the contract.
yes, but we're gonna do that after.
I would say that the honor guard stays with the Empress.
Right, but do they go home or do they wait for us?
As soon as you guys are done, they would go home. If you decided to stay at that point in time, they're still going home.
Yep. We'll
I
send them
figured
home
we'd
when we're
see
done
them back
before
to
we go through with stuff.
the boat.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I was just gonna teleport them home. We can send them
Oh,
back. To
I
our
mean,
keep.
or that.
You could, and it would be much faster.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair.
So, all right. So, but yeah, part of the deal is that she'll want to wait till she knows it's done.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll do that. We'll make sure of that. We'll send them home, and then we'll go check out the evil king in the mountain and the temple.
You
Wait, do
can
we know where
see
the-
that from where you're at. Like you can see that gateway, and it does appear to be still functional.
Intact.
You're a good
Okay.
long ways away, but it's a big gate.
And
It's like 60 feet tall, and it does seem to still have the magical wall over the
Okay.
gateway.
Because that's where
But
the
you know,
necromancer was
closer
buried, right?
inspection, correct?
Yeah.
That's where he's entombed.
Might just be a good idea to check that out and double check that it's still the same as it's supposed to be before we go somewhere else.
I mean, if we're here.
Yeah, I mean, we're already here. We can't teleport back, so.
Okay. So you guys take the casket, the sarcophagus, and you start to climb the stairs up to the doorway of the ziggurat. And this will be the map we're using. This is all shaded, correct, except for the entrance?
As far as I can tell
Yes.
so far.
Okay. And a few other things. The
nothing
logos
is-
and
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yep. They're setting up a camp out there just in case we take a while, I assume.
yes.
Do you guys want me to make the mansion for them? So that they have a comfortable place to stay that's also relatively protected? And we can always stay in it when we come out 24 hours.
No, how long asking the Empress, how long does it normally take to do this process?
Like an hour? It's not far. I mean, it's a large tomb with, several centuries of emperors inside of it, but it's not some crazy endless dungeon.
Right.
I think I would just tell her most of the adventures we think are only going to take an hour end up getting us in hell for weeks. So
she smiles and says, Zilithan used to say things like that to me all the time. He would leave on some mission, say, I'll be back tomorrow, and she would know he'd be back in a week. Two, maybe more.
I'll make the mansion. I'll just to the Empress, just be like, I'll make a mansion. Give me a
minute. She's appreciative of that. Smiles, and everybody kind of loads up. And the guards are a little exasperated because they just really started. They got all the stuff off the elephant.
Now the elephant can't go inside, so
maybe it's true. The elephant can't go inside.
I don't know.
It is a magic door after all, so maybe he could.
Elephant
but I
goes
do
inside.
think that's funny.
So,
okay.
Put the mansion up. Use my 7th level spell slot.
Awesome. They are thankful. All right, so you guys, let's get you boys on the map. Badoink. So you get up to a platform, and it kind of like it shows on the map. It funnels together, and there's this fairly wide passage. It's 10 foot wide, 20 feet tall, with some hieroglyphed doors, and they are covered with scorpion iconography, very similar to what you'd see on the Kren flag, and then you also see around it other households of emperors, and Zilithan's being the latest addition to that. And I believe the door is a functioning door for line of sight. So when you guys are ready, somebody should be able to open the door.
I'll open it.
It's not functional.
It's not functional?
No.
You can interact with the map?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But there's nothing to click on.
If the DM lets you interact with it.
I totally want to be able to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
We've already done it. We did that with the other underwater stuff.
Oh, I didn't really.
I don't know why that's not functioning.
Like the idea of a function map.
Is that one open?
No, there's nothing to click on.
So weird. I don't remember how I did it last time now. Thought I had it. Well, what am I going to do about this?
Like Carrie always says, hunt.
Punt. We will just move you guys to the other side of the door. Who am I missing? Who ran off? You're on the outside of the map, you dork.
I'm trying to get back in.
You're trying to snoop. I'll have to remember to make sure I block off the outside of the map.
For what it's worth, we still can't see anything.
You can't?
No, it's still black.
Move us. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. All right. Stop moving around. Because you now will be revealing stuff if you're moving around. Let me put you all back, see if I can figure out. Oh, hey, you can put a zoom boundary on these.
Nice.
Well, let me try something.
Is it a zoom out boundary? Or a
Oh,
zoom
maybe
in
that's
boundary?
not what that is.
What is that? Someone drawing? Is that supposed to be LOL?
It was supposed to be SOS.
Oh, nice.
Send help.
That's awesome.
Try the door now. Still no door?
Still in the door.
Still no door. Well, what the hey? Hmm. Guys, I don't know what to do.
Keep at it. That's what you do.
I am keeping at it.
Well, then good. I am being Have.
It should be working. Oh, that's fantastic, Andy. That
Isn't it?
is fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
I want to leave a complaint for when I'm dead about my casket. Pillow was never soft enough.
No, you just have the complaint be help, help, help.
They left me my cell phone. I don't know how long I have.
So I don't know how to fix this or what to do about it. What about now?
There's no
No,
door.
nothing. No door.
No door.
You should
Wish
be
I
able
could
to, if you
offer some
scroll
help,
over
but
it, you should be able to see the door icon show up.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
That is so weird. Why is it being like this?
No daikon.
Also, let's all just bunch up at the door so that when he does fix this, nobody can click on it.
I'll punch through. I wish I could offer some assistance, but I do not have fancy.
I don't even know how to proceed. I don't because I can't get you past the doors. So how do I even reveal it like the old? I suppose I can.
Can you just undo the mask like you?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I got to do. Well, no. Try and get through the door now into that room.
Nope.
Still blocks. How super strange.
What happens if we just move ourselves over there? I don't want to do it.
You can't.
You can't. I can move
Like
you over there, but it won't take the line of sight away.
Okay.
All right. We'll just roll a D100 and see if we bury the Emperor.
Pretty good. You struggle with it, but he's in the ground. Good job.
We just had to stomp a little bit at the end.
Just gotta push. He gets Winnie the Pooh, and we gotta shove him in.
Yep.
Ew.
All right, so I am gonna try.
We don't, guys. Why are we making such a big deal about this? We don't even have his body.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that earlier, and I totally forgot about it. Like,
Yeah.
are we? How are we carrying him?
It's a fake sarcophagus. Try now.
So
Can you move into that room now?
Nope.
Okay, that is definitely an error because I deleted all of the walls, the line of sight walls.
Should we close it and open it back
You
up?
can maybe reshare
No.
this. We might have the version that isn't been shared.
It hasn't been updated. You know what I mean?
Is there
Maybe.
a difference
Sync,
between?
there's a sync with client
so like,
button.
do we normally don't have the? Maybe I've never noticed that. I don't think this has been the case before. Like normally we don't have the row of like tools on the map.
No, he put that up.
Oh, he put it. Okay, never mind then.
Hey, hold
Oh,
on.
gosh.
I've got a bunch of drawings. That's
Get out.
new.
Get out.
You're-
Andy was drawing.
You no longer have the map, correctly?
Correct.
Correctly.
We correctly
correct.
Oh, the blue's still there.
The blue is still there.
How do I clear out my drawings? There we go. Nope, that just takes us out of there. Clear drawing. Oh,
Can't get up any further though.
Still can't, huh? That's super duper bizarre because there is no line of sight on there now.
can you just re-import the map and put it on that one?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yep.
It's my troubles.
Stop
That's
sharing.
what you do.
All right.
Technology. Burn it to the ground.
Failure.
Failure to launch.
I love technology. It's not as much you see.
What?
Always and forever.
Andy, am I allowed to tell Crystal?
Yeah, I told you could tell Crystal.
I don't remember.
But
that.
you
just weren't listening.
having sound issues. You know what's funny about that too is I took like a half an hour to set up line of sight, and the way I have this tomb laid out, it is super easy to do it the old school way. I just wanted to play with line of sight, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do line of sight."
You know, every week I go, we should put together, or I should put together line of sight, and I'm like, no, I don't care this week because it's Thursday at 5 o'clock, and I'm not trying putts with them.
So funny. All right.
Why do we all wait until last minute to do anything?
Mike and I love the fact that we have 2 weeks to plan, and we do it 2 days before we play it every week.
You do it when it's time.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you kind of have to feel like being in the mood of doing it.
Like
There is
honestly, like I
some
feel
of
like
that.
that with everything.
All right. You should be able to. Yeah. Now you can run over the walls. Can you run past the door, T?
No,
Whatever.
I can't go into the black.
Whoa. Okay. That's new. All right. I wonder. Never mind. I'm not even going to worry about it right now. Not even going to worry about it right now. So you guys step into the next room. Yep.
Oh,
there
that's
it is.
so weird.
I wonder if I didn't clear enough of the mask to actually
For
show
the
the
mask?
door. That'd be
Oh,
dumb.
maybe.
Oh, whatever. Not gonna worry about it now. So you enter into this next room, and it is a long room with several niches carved to the side, and there are 10 stone statues of very dramatically and warrior posed Kren. Tough guys.
Likely the emperors of past that have been buried.
You don't know if they're anybody specific. They definitely look more like rank and file soldiery.
The problem with
But-
it being the emperors of the
Soldiery.
past is that there's no room for more.
More. It could just be generic poses of
Yeah.
emperor. Like,
Yep.
We totally see a bust of Orin.
Yep.
do we see a bust of Warren?
You do not see a bust of Orin, but right here you see a body.
Oh, that's not good.
It's It's not ancient, but it's not fresh either. It's very dried out, husked up.
Does it look terrible?
Not quite terrible.
We found a lich, guys.
I might have poked it with my spear.
It does not move. It's wearing half plate armor. It was carrying a sword. It's got decent looking gear that's still in good condition. None of it is magical, but it doesn't look like a chump.
Do we find anything on it?
I could ask him.
Like,
Who it is.
My head
Not- You don't find any, you start to dig through his stuff and you don't find anything telling about him. He does have a two-crossed spear tattoo on his shoulder, though. His skin is super dried out. It looks like almost all the moisture's gone, which doesn't surprise you. It is dry and hot in this building.
We recognize this symbol?
You would. It's
one of the families, isn't it?
No, it's not one of the families. It's a mercenary company.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yep. These guys fought on the side of the free peoples in the war.
Is it a long-standing organization, or is it a relatively new?
No,
Okay.
it's a pretty old organization. A lot of people, after they get out of their official military service in the Empire, signed up for the crossed spears.
Sure. Yeah, Jeff, if you want to reach out and wake him up.
I can only do it once. So if we find another one, I can't talk to that one. Do we want to just collect them and maybe pick one?
Collect them?
I mean,
Like put them
might
on
be
a
more.
necklace?
There might be more.
You know,
Friendship bracelet
choose the
out of it.
best looking one.
I mean, we have an empty sarcophagus. So we can just set him in there for right now. I'm kidding.
It's super funny.
Bury him as the king or the emperor.
But I can definitely do that if we want to. We don't know if we're gonna find more or not.
Do we see any? And I'm probably not the one to do this, but do we see any like signs of death?
He's definitely dead.
Yes, but
I
like,
mean, so
how?
you want to give him a good examination as far as that goes, then?
Yeah,
There's
like,
no
like cause of
obvious
death is what I'm
signs.
looking
There's
for.
no obvious causes. So make a medicine check.
Ooh,
Does
I'll
anybody
take
else
that.
want to do that?
I will.
Somebody, whoever's good at it.
+9,
Oh,
and I
I
get to
mean-
add a D4 to mine. So
Never mind. You do it because I'm apparently not skilled in it, even though I have the healer's feet.
weird.
Doesn't the healer's feat give you proficiency in medicine?
I don't think it does.
That's
25.
weird.
No, it doesn't.
25 is good. So Jeff, you start to monkey with his actual body, and you do find his tibia is broken. So it looks like he took some trauma to the arm, and then, or is it the ulna and the radius? Tibia's in your
Ulna and
leg.
radius is
Yeah.
Tibia's in the leg.
Yep.
Speaking Greek to me.
Been a long time since I studied that stuff. His radius is broken, so it looks like he took some trauma to the arm, and you're like, okay, so there's that. But when you go to remove his helmet, the entire back half of his head is crushed in.
Ooh.
He took a serious blow to the back of the head through the helmet. And the helmet isn't dented, but it looks like whatever hit him hit his helmet hard enough to crush the back of his skull.
Do we get a sense like he was surprised by his attack? Based on the damage there?
Now that you're looking at that and based on the damage, he might have been running away from something because he is laying face down towards the exit.
We should probably talk to this guy.
Also, are you ignoring Tony?
What? Ignoring me? Ignoring Tony? I'm talking to.
Stop telling him I'm ignoring him.
I'm talking to Nikki, so apparently he's in trouble now. I asked him if I could tell her I was excited. I don't know. I think he's in trouble now. Sorry, Nikki.
He's probably trying to explain how you didn't have your sound on when he was trying to tell you could tell people.
I'm still trying to set up my meeting with them.
Oh.
And they're both really bad at responding. So now she's probably like, why aren't we meeting with Andy or with Tony and Crystal? And given the face he just gave me, which is now on recording, it's true. But
It's funny.
They both ignore me as much as Gary does. It's just a rolling trait.
Maybe it's just a Tony thing.
It might be.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm pretty notorious for ignoring people too. So
Most of our people are. They're
I
bad
am.
at responding or communicating. Maybe it is me.
definitely not just you, pal.
As I find out that everyone else is communicating just fine and just nobody gets back to Tony.
No, there's definitely the comment of, did you reply to Tony yet? No, not yet.
I'm only just talking to him right now.
Right.
She yelled at me. She's like, "You guys are playing right now. Why haven't you been talking to him?" I was like, "He always scoots before I have a chance to."
Always scoot. I do not always scoot. Sometimes I scoot.
We all kind of
Anywho.
dodge out at the end. Okay.
That's super funny.
Yeah, I'll talk to the body. Based on this, we're gonna come across more, but like,
A little concerning.
right? To find out what he was running away from, or do we want to wait and maybe see somebody who actually saw what was going on, and this guy was just watching the door to make sure nobody came in, and he's knows nothing. We're rolling some dice here, literally.
We always are rolling some dice.
Yeah. What do you think? I want to vote. This guy or wait?
Talk to this guy.
This is literally just a 50-50. This is either going to be okay or we're going to need it again.
Yeah.
And the fact is that he would potentially have the best information of what we're walking into.
Okay.
Soon.
I get
I mean,
5
or
questions.
not. He got hit in the back of the head. That doesn't mean he saw anything.
Yeah, it could have been that he just got scared and he ran and then something killed him.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
there's that possibility.
So, like, honestly, where I'm at is whatever you choose to do, I am 100% for it. If you want to use it now,
and we're going to blame you for being wrong.
Okay.
No, I mean, because you could get the information or not, and you can get that can happen anyway.
So I know the spell will not work on undead, so I am gonna burn a divine sense just to make sure he's not undead and faking it.
How far of a distance do you get on that?
Boy, hold on, I don't know. Divine sense.
Isn't it like 60 feet?
It's
60 feet.
Yeah.
Celestial
hey, I remembered
fiend
a
or
thing
undead.
in the game from a previous character.
I'm not
So
looking.
funny.
It needs an undo button.
Right? Yes, it does.
Yeah, I meant to. Oh, while you're in mask mode, you can't draw arrows. That's interesting.
I would also, within the same distance, any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated.
Okay. You sense some undead presences. It doesn't tell you what kind, though, correct?
No.
And you sense 4 consecrated areas as well.
Oh. So you know the type, celestial fiend or undead, of any being whose presence you sense, but not its identity, as in its name, as in Vampire Count Strahd von Zarovich, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a fun explanation. So yeah, I just
it still doesn't tell me whether or not there is undead in there and inside of here.
Okay.
This guy, however, is not.
Yeah. So there are definitely undead in here. So we should gear up for that.
Well, there's also potentially emperors in here.
Right.
But they live together.
Yeah. Do I sense any consecrated or desecrated spaces within that footage?
Consecrated.
Four
there are 4 consecrated spaces. Good. And you don't get where they are. You just know they're within your bubble.
Boop.
Yep.
All right. And then I'll talk to this guy. I'll spend how long? Spend the action. So, and I got 10 minutes to ask 5 questions.
Okay. So, as has happened before, when you speak with dead, the lights almost seem to start to work in reverse, even though it's still light and you could see, but it does feel like they're pulling, the atmosphere is pulling the light out of it. And that is flowing into this skull. The energy's kind of pulsing through it. And for a second, you don't think it's going to work. And then his jaw kind of swings up and clicks solid. And then he starts to kind of move. And then his eyes just kind of turn to dust and bright light shines out of them, and it starts screaming.
I'll let him
Hmm.
have
This
his
always
moment.
happen.
This is what we've had happen before,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I'm
Yeah.
getting a little worried about my spell, guys. Like, I don't think it's supposed to work like this, but
Does it seem like it's getting worse?
No.
yeah, this one's screaming.
Well,
Well,
I mean, the
yeah.
elves, they both screamed, but
Yeah.
you added the you don't think it's going to work, but then it does.
Mm.
So I wasn't
It's
sure
just
if it
because
was like
no.
okay.
It just there's always a little bit of time that it takes, and it gets awkward,
Yeah.
and so that was just a flavor thing.
Mhm.
Sure.
It was not me indicating that his spell is starting to not work. It's just a creepy spell, and I think it
Yep.
needs
Yeah.
a creepy thing to happen when you use
Yeah.
it.
Jeff doesn't
Yeah.
like doing the spell because he actually puts his cloak on the person and dresses them up a little bit so that it's his way of like, I'm speaking to an important person, so he makes them proper.
Are you humanizing them more?
Yes, he is. Very much so.
You're not supposed to give your animals names.
They're not animals, they're people.
Oh.
Okay, you just slaughter them and that's it.
Yep. So I will
You can't humanize them, or else it's weird.
Yep. What are you doing?
I will
What are you gonna
ask
ask?
him. The first question I'm going to ask him is, what happened here?
Ask him if he's okay.
Nope, don't care.
He
I
says
know.
we released the Black Lords.
Okay,
Why?
I mean, Jeff has to ask the question. You're just screaming at it.
So
And
many more than
it
4
goes
questions.
right back to screaming, and it gives you the answer screaming.
I just
Like-
want to backhand it.
The echo of this man is terrified. Mav, history-wise, the Black Lords, most Kren emperors were considered good people, even if they were warmongers, and because war was an avenue to peace. If
Yep.
you conquer the world and make them think like you, there's peace. And most of them, even in that sense, had that. But there were 3 that were considered extraordinarily malicious.
I think I remember we heard about them in the past.
They've been talked about in the past. They were cruel. They were just awful people. So they are also buried down here, but they are in a separate wing designed to keep people away from them.
Were. Second question, who hired you to do this?
He says an old man, his name was Darius. He is an archaeologist.
That jerk.
Are you
No, it's not anybody you
Okay.
would know.
okay? Okay, because Tony keeps bringing my character Darius into all
Oh,
the things,
Professor
and he's done
Darius
all the
Hood.
most terrible, terrible, terrible things on the planet
No.
and the cosmos.
He has not done terrible things. The things he's done have just ended up terrible, which is exactly how you told me his life goes.
No, that's so funny. Had I really known that, I might have done that here, but no.
Professor Darius Hood is awakening the Black Sunrise.
Yeah, I mean, because he would probably. Why
Maybe
not?
Ask him something along the lines of, like why or what they were hoping to get or accomplish or do.
You wouldn't usually tell your mercenaries that.
Was it successful?
He just said that. He just said we woke them up.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the first thing he said is we woke up the Black.
You
Black
asked,
Lords.
"What did you do?"
We
And he
stuff
said
like
he
that.
woke you, and then you asked,
He
"Who
was
hired you?"
happy to comply.
Yep.
So, in the concept of what did you do, it's not necessarily why are you here. It's a different,
Oh, okay.
it's. I'll just be clear with you. I answered that differently because of the way you asked.
Yep. So I will ask, why are you raising the Dark Lords?
He tells you it was an accident.
I don't believe you.
It always.
He says.
Whoa,
It's like
no, that's a
I
good
don't
question.
know what to tell you.
So
In my head,
what was your goal then?
Darius was looking for the Onyx Falcon.
Mav, do you know what that is? Which I can give you advantage on a history roll for that one. You and I can.
I mean,
mull over
I
it.
have the. I'm assuming I probably have the highest history.
Sure,
I
I'll
have-
help you then.
Because you got the highest int.
I'll give you guidance.
Yeah, I can help. I mean, I think we all have history then.
Okay, so I'm
You really don't think?
giving history at
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah, with guidance.
Wow, that was terrible. That was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Still rolled a 21.
Okay, just so you feel better about this, you would have needed a 40
Oh, okay.
to hear of the Onyx Falcon.
Okay.
You have no idea what this thing is.
I just look at Jeffrey and be like, yeah. It's a bird.
So that's 4 questions, right?
Yeah,
What happened
you have
here?
one left.
Yep. Did he acquire it?
For about 3 minutes.
Okay,
Oh, that's
thanks,
it.
bye. And I'll just pop his head off.
And the light goes back to normal. The screaming stops.
Guys, we really need to find someone else that can do this spell because it just creeps me out. That's all.
I was just gonna say, well, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, me too. So do you want to call your girlfriend? See if she knows anything about that? Wife?
About the
fiance? What are you guys? Do you have a title? Is she pregnant yet? Have you've visited her like 6 times, you have no kids. What kind of dwarf are you?
An intelligent dwarf.
Aha, rapid.
Yeah, I will call her just to see if she can get some research done on that to see if anybody. Yeah, I'll call her just to say hi. I'm not gonna tell her anything about.
And by the way,
don't bring this one up.
Yeah.
No reason.
Yeah. No, but I'll tell her. I'll give her a rundown of what's going on.
Okay.
I will also tell her about the tower in the middle of the lake.
Okay.
And see if she can just
Define
put
it.
Yeah.
Good call.
Sure. So you have a fairly brief but pleasant conversation. You guys are used to these. And you drop a few more nuggets on her, which isn't really like asking her for anything. She always she's fascinated by the stuff.
Just turn into Laura for a minute.
You and me both, my friend. His phone call every time he just drops the nuggets on her and leaves.
Anyways, she appreciates your little tidbits of information in your little discoveries. She says she'll get some people working on it, but she has never heard of that, and the tower thing really kind of shocks her too.
Yeah.
You and us both.
I'll tell her that she needs a 40 to roll.
Okay. All right. You let her know.
Do everything you can to get a 40. Bye.
Yeah.
Try to get over a 40.
What do you guys want to do? There's a door and another door, so you could just leave it Zillithan's box here
and just go out and tell her that we did it. Bye. Let's go. Okay, we're good. Not our problem.
We know where he actually goes in here, though, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get to this before, and I was about to get to this soon because you're about to find the first few of them.
Oh,
you need to put him in the wing that his soul would be most at rest in, which is the wing of the Wanderer.
The Wanderer. Okay. Yeah. So I was going to ask this before, but would we, from Kren history and upbringing, know who else is supposed to be here? Because you said so
everyone.
Huh?
Every emperor that's ever lived is supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. We would know those people, right?
Yes, you would.
We would have been taught, and so from the perspective of Tony, detected 4 other. I think it was 4 other. If we saw one of them, if they were undead and walking around, if they were a previous emperor, we would recognize them.
Depends on their form.
Yeah, I mean, we might not recognize. I mean, it's one of those things. So where
would you recognize every single president of the U.S. if you found them?
Yeah.
Undead? Absolutely. Yeah. Totally. 100%.
You know why? Because they'd be wearing a badge.
There's like there's some things about Kryn burial, particularly for emperors, that have kind of stayed constant, but there's other things that have varied wildly, like how they're buried, what they're buried with, and a lot of it depended on their beliefs. Like an emperor who didn't believe in keeping wealth wouldn't be buried with any of it,
Right.
type thing. And so, but others, they might be buried in their full like house regalia. So you don't know. You also know that mummification is a thing for the Kryn as well. So if they were up and walking around as a mummy and just up in bandages, facially they got full cover.
Yeah.
Mood.
But you might see things that would denote houses.
Yeah. Okay. So reasonably speaking,
yeah,
it's possible.
It's a possibility for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I was going for. All right, let's go find this wing.
All right. So you guys,
should we, before we go anywhere, should we put the Emperor's sarcophagus like down somewhere so we're not walking around carrying this thing?
You're supposed to do that as little as possible according to tradition. Like the only time you saw the guards do it was when they were changing guards who were carrying it.
Okay, so here's what I will do.
Mage hand.
And Lord knows I can't help you carry anything. Do you want to get the Tensor's floating disc out?
Will it carry that?
500 pounds.
It would.
600 pounds, something like that.
Do I have that? I don't have that.
It's in the ritual book.
Ritual book.
Silver
had it.
You did? It's not in my. It's not in my. It's not in the book of spells that I carried over from Phil. So unless I missed one,
let me double check.
If you had it,
I'm pretty sure he did and used it.
And you used it, then I have it. Okay.
I mean, and that's fine. We can just rule that you did because I know Filbert spent all of his resources getting more spells for that ritual book.
Yeah.
All of my money on it.
Yeah, so I'll put that up then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you throw it up on the floating disc and you open up the door into the next room. So what you see is straight ahead, there seems to be the hallway seems to widen a bit to the north, and then to the east and the west. It's really funny. You open up this door and you immediately get a sense of some moisture and you hear running water. And you also smell chicken, bacon. You're not quite sure, but it smells like food. So you head up into the cross area there, and to the left, you see a large, like, indoor pond, a fountain, so to speak. And make perception checks for me. And while you're getting those ready, to the right, you see a heavily laden dining table. Mav's seen it. Thanak saw part of it.
All right, another perception.
Yes, please.
Can't wait to see what this one's going to be.
These always go so well.
Oh, hey, Othig, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Othig, you catch just a glimpse.
Boom, baby.
Jeff.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So Mav reaches up and points towards the pond, and it's like, there's a turtle in there. And Jeff's like, yeah, it's a painted turtle. They're coming to North America.
His name's Jennifer.
So you watch a turtle slip off one of the lily pads and slip into the fountain. And both of those rooms are lit.
This place is gonna be lit.
Yes, it is.
I knew someone was gonna say that.
Mav, pick a square. Jeff comes up and he's just like, get into a square.
Yes.
There's a bunch of spells that I don't have that I should have.
Yeah, you should probably fix that.
I don't know why that is, because you gave me your book.
I'll tell you, man.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Why I keep asking about certain spells.
You guys would probably be able to see. It's close enough. You'd be able to see that past that wide spot. It looks like there's another cross section in the hallway and another door at the far end of that. And that, which door is that? That door looks half open from where you're at.
Can we go down to the pond?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to enter the room. I just want to see if this seems to be like one of those chambers that the emperors would be rested in, or if it's something more for like the guards or whoever that are bringing the emperors.
Mav, you wander down to the pond, and there you get closer now. There, in each corner of that room, there's a fountain, and you hear there's water flowing out of it. You don't enter in. There's fish in this pond, big koi fish swimming around in there. And as you walk into this chamber, there is a spirit that apparates right in front of you. And it's a woman in full Kren like battle regalia, and she asks if you've come to lay an emperor in the chamber of peace.
I would respectfully bow and say, no, we have not. And I will be leaving this space.
She says you're welcome to rest here and enjoy the pond if you wish.
Thank you. Mav will still back up.
Okay. And she disappears.
Oh, darn.
Does the spirit appear to be like an? I mean, if it's a she, it's probably not an emperor, but it doesn't seem to be like the spirit of an emperor there.
No, it did not.
Okay. Yeah. So going to the right, I'm assuming it would be some sort of a food.
Yeah, that's the Hall of Feasting in Diplomacy. And so very much the similar experience happens. The spirit asks you if you've come to lay to rest an emperor who made his conquests through feasting, merriment, and diplomacy.
Nope.
Okay.
Ask if they know where the wanderer might be, or where the wandering would go.
It does actually. It says it is to the north and to your right.
And I will bow and thank them and move north and to the right.
Pause everybody and be like, guys, like I sensed, restless.
Hey,
folks.
Jeff, get in a square.
Oh, I'm standing right in the middle of the hallway. On purpose.
On purpose.
That was way back there that I sensed restless spirits. And we're this far up. Where are they?
He didn't say that they were restless.
No,
I just told you they were undead.
Yeah.
Undead don't have to be restless.
You can only sense them within 60 feet anyway.
They do, but they don't.
Right.
I mean,
so 60 feet from that.
I just encountered two of them.
Oh. Fair enough. And Jeff is fine now.
Also, can we ask the next one where the bad mojo places might be
you
important?
You can ask the previous ones.
Yeah, you can go talk
well,
to
they
them.
disappeared.
Mav is not the only one that has to encounter the dead people.
You're the only one that can. You're the only cleric.
Not even a cleric.
Do I see anything weird when I cast True Sight?
Hey.
No, you would see. It wouldn't be weird to you. It'd actually be pretty normal in palace style buildings. There's just a hint of magic that's gone into the architecture to obviously keep things from decaying and falling apart. The rooms that you walked into, both of those were there was plain magic, obviously keeping things functioning here. Because the feasting room has a full table full of food, and there were carts full of desserts and things like that again all along the walls. So there's magic that keeps that running, but it would be similar magic, honestly, to Jeff's mansion, but on a more like outward.
So nothing too hinky.
No, it'd be what you expect to find a pond full of fish swimming inside of a ziggurat in the middle of a dead zone in a desert.
Makes sense.
Jeff is going to cast Mordenkainen's Hound in that intersection.
Okay.
So,
and that just alerts you if somebody's coming, right?
It'll bite someone if it has to, but yeah, it'll alert me.
Yeah. It's an upgraded alarm, right?
Yep. It can see invisible creatures. It can see into the ethereal plane, and it can tell the difference if something's an illusion or not. So
okay, it can see into the ethereal plane.
Yep.
It would be it's a spectral hound. If this was a regular hound dog, it'd be flipping out. It's definitely pointing out that there are spirits in this place
Jeff's back on guard.
that are ethereal. So not something Andy would have picked up with True Sight, but something that specifically can see into the ethereal plane would have seen.
I would like to.
My dog's freaking out. My dog is freaking out.
At a 7th level, I would like to cast Etherealness and step into the ethereal plane.
It might be a one-way trip. Oh no.
Okay. So
I can get out of the ethereal plane.
I'm gonna give you a bardic inspiration as you're going to cast a spell.
So Mav, you see something and you're bracing yourself for the worst. And that is kind of the opposite of what you see. Looking into those rooms, you see the specters and spirits of past emperors kind of hovering around their area. Like they're lounging on the side of the pool. One of them's writing a haiku or some crap. There's several of them at the feasting
Totally playing
table.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Like seriously. It's honestly a calming presence that you see there. It's inspiring to you and your cringeness and your history, so you can have, if you need them, advantage on any mental style saving throws till your next long rest.
Okay. Do they appear to notice me at all?
They do. They don't attempt to interact with you, but when you start to peek into the room, they look over at you and then go back to what they're doing.
Mav is definitely not going to disturb the emperors of past. Hey.
You sure you're not going to go party with them? Because, I mean, right now you're, like, in the afterlife with them, and they probably got a pretty swanky dig.
Dude, that guy, as soon as he gets done writing his haiku, just imagine the things that he probably knows that you could ask him. I mean, like, he knows things. He's writing a freaking haiku.
Ask one of them about the Onyx thing.
Tall pyramid. Shifting sands below.
I freaking love it.
Death to my enemies. Yeah, that's how all those haikus in that game went. They didn't have any sense.
If you
like it was the worst haiku ever.
No, not all of them. Some of them were really good. Some of them were really
some of them were
touching, actually. But
So,
some of them were really weird.
Mav is not going to do it in either of these two rooms because he doesn't want to disturb the peace of the Serenity Garden thingy, and the people that are just eating food will probably not necessarily know. But he would like to attempt to interact with them and ask about the Onyx Falcon.
Okay. So which group do you want to ask?
Possibly let's try the food one first.
Okay. They all immediately look over at you and they're surprised that you're speaking to them. And one of them says they haven't had anybody attempt to speak to them in a long time. As a matter of fact, another one says we haven't seen anybody in a long time because we don't see into the material.
I would apologize as I
just irritated.
They accept your apology. One of them asks if you want a hawk, and he's waving around a giant ham hock.
Absolutely. I will join them for feast.
Matt's gonna come back from the ethereal plane with food, or be like, "Bruh, you didn't bring any for us."
That's so funny because I was gonna ask the spirit before it disappeared in the food room, like if I could partake.
It would have told you yes. So, Mav, you sit down at the table, and they welcome you, and you start eating. You can have an extra 20 temporary hit points.
Oh yes.
Does that go? That he already has 10 hit points from me.
Well, he has 20 from this. If he already has some and they're more, then he doesn't get more.
Sorry. Okay. The way you phrase it sounded like more.
No, it's not more.
Okay. Nope, perfect.
You would have gotten 20 though.
Yeah, so I would just start talking to them as politely and as you would to an emperor.
So yeah, you explain to them like what's going on, and just talking. They ask about the state of the empire. Do you want to answer them honestly, or do you want to answer vaguely?
I would absolutely
or do you want
to answer honestly.
Yeah.
And a couple of them are sad but two of them have they're like the empire's been too big for far too long, and the others get mad at that thought because the empire should cover everything.
Yeah.
And the other two agree, but they say, but not beyond our means. We stretched ourselves beyond our means. And so it kind of starts a little bit of a political discussion, the kind you'd find at a table like this. But it's entertaining and enlightening, and either way you have pleased them.
Excellent.
Want to ask about?
I would ask them if there are things that us mortals should have to worry about as we go to bring to rest another king, another emperor.
They say no, you should not have to. But they also say they don't leave their wing.
Okay, so I will mention the dead body in the front that we encountered and the words that I can't think of right now.
The Black Lords and the Onyx Falcon.
Yep.
Several of them don't know the Black Lords because they were before them.
Yep.
A few of them are very hesitant about that, and they warn you that if the seals on their tombs have been broken, they may be attempting to reach out. But they say it is more likely that man was killed by the guardians of the ziggurat for leaving the ziggurat in an unworthy manner.
That would lead to a next question of these guardians.
The statues at the gate, he says, do not steal and do not leave a coward.
Oh.
Do not leave a coward, as in do not leave.
As a coward. Don't leave
as a coward.
As a coward.
So do not turn your back and run. Face things like a man.
Mm-hmm.
Face things like a friend.
Yeah.
Any word on the Onyx Falcon?
They don't know what you're talking about.
We can still communicate with Map, right?
I'm on a different plane.
But don't we have telepathic bond on? Does that?
It doesn't go across the planes, does it?
I don't think so. I mean, you can double check it in the spell thing, but I'm pretty sure it stops at planes.
I could ask if there is anything I could do to entertain them, being that they have not had guests for
they say the only thing we would have wanted to know would be the state of the empire.
Okay.
They're totally happy, and he says they also say they don't have to stay. They can go to paradise, but there's something comforting for them about the way they lived to still be home.
Sure. Matt would understand that. He would kind of give him a nod of like, okay, yeah, you're enjoying what you did when you lived. And
yep, this is a very good place for them.
Matt would beg for their forgiveness with one more question and ask if other emperors would prefer an update as well.
Would prefer an update as well. He says maybe the I want to say losers, but I don't mean losers. It'd be a friendly jab at guys over at the pond. He's like, but don't bother the religies. They're pretty much all wrapped up in themselves and their divine mission, and that'll probably start a real fight.
Matt would just stop and be like, religies.
They laugh.
Okay. I would thank them for their time and their company.
And they tell you to take a pie on your way out.
Absolutely. Is there like a hunk of roast or something that Matt can get as he comes back into material?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's tons of food here. It looks exactly the same as it did when you peeked in the room before. So it's just full of food.
Okay. So I'm on this for up to 8 hours.
Oh, God.
And I can see and hear onto the original plane. So I don't think I can interact with the original plane.
You need to haunt Thanak.
Just like poking his ear. Okay. So I would go across the way and introduce myself and give them kind of the similar state of the empire. This group, I might try to make it a little bit more happy if they're trying to look peaceful. Like,
yeah, these emperors were like every one of the emperors buried here were definitely they were all warriors. There's no doubt about that. They beat their predecessor in a combat to the death.
Yep.
You know, they're warriors. But they're just these guys would be more like, and I used haiku for a reason because they're definitely more samurai-esque in their presence. These are peace through conquest type guys, but instead of like enslaving or ruling over their subjects harshly, they always tried to bring better society to where they went. So you would get the impression you wouldn't have to sugarcoat the state of things.
Okay. Well, then I wouldn't. I would tell them bluntly how it is.
And they're thankful for the report as well. Very similar to the other guys, not quite as bawdy or as, nobody's waving a ham hock around over here. But one of them reaches into the pond and pulls out a fish.
I would tell him that he has a very beautiful fish.
And he says, "This is for you." He said, "Ask it what you need. Ask it for something you need, and it will grant it to you. Mav, this fish will cast the wish. This is the wish fish."
Okay.
Wish fish. Wish fish.
So you have access to the wish spell through this fish.
I would ask it how I keep the fish alive.
It won't be a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm going to carry the wish fish in one hand and the hunk of meat in the other hand with a pie. Actually, the fish might be sitting on the pie right now. Mav doesn't really care. And is going to continue on.
Which one of us idiots is going to eat the wish fish?
Then it's the wish fish dish.
Oh.
What does wish fish taste like, I wonder? I wish I knew.
Okay. I am going to go north.
So funny. The other guys are just out in the hallway going, "Where the heck's Mav?" He's taking a long time.
Yeah.
When is he coming back?
What are you guys doing during this time?
I'm going back to the table to ask the two questions that I wanted to ask.
Okay. So the Guardian appears. And which were those two specifically?
So basically, like, if it like, I would ask in the nicest but still oathing way possible if it was possible to partake. And the other question would be about inquiring about the Dark Lords, the wing that they're in, and the situation of the guy saying that they've released them.
So they wouldn't know anything about releasing them. Like, you don't get the impression like these spirits have a ton of like super background information.
Sure.
More like they know the layout, they know what goes on around here, but that's really kind of beyond their position. They would tell you that you would have to pass through the black doors, and then through the dark gate to release them. And the black doors would be found at the end of the hallway.
Okay.
Is that the door that's partially open?
As you move forward down there, you are pretty sure that that's what that is, because they're very dark stone. They have warning, iconography carved all over them, and one of them is smashed off of its hinges, and there is like, it's almost functioning like an ooze. There is darkness just kind of tendriling and oozing out of this room. It's almost like a black fog. And when you try and look into that room, you can't see more than a foot.
Mav's not trying to look in there at all. He wants nothing to do with it.
Okay. So, and Otha, you would be given that similar information. And so, Spirit tells you to help yourself to anything on the table that you find in the room. It is prepared for those who celebrate the Empire.
Oh well, I mean that's Othig, so yeah.
Definition of Othig.
I'm definitely sitting down to some food and drink. Probably more drink
Danak,
than food, but still food.
Jeffrey,
I'm
what are you
getting in the
guys
hot
doing?
tub.
You going in the pond?
Well, I would ask, like much like Othig or just did in the food room, just like
Yeah.
it looks like a pretty neat hot tub. Like, is it okay if I like partake and just like ask if it's for like relaxing, bathing, or otherwise?
The spirit looks a little put off by your hot tub analogy. But it tells you that you may, if you are diseased or infirm, you would benefit from the waters.
I ain't either of those things. I'm gonna go get some food. And I'll go sit by Othig.
Okay.
Can we still communicate with?
Did we figure that out?
Mav cannot be spoken to.
With telepathic bond?
Yeah, doesn't go across planes.
And he is currently on a different plane of existence.
Okay.
So Mav, up at the north at the junction, you see the black doors. You can't see the black gate, obviously, and you're not even trying to look to the left. You see a temple, and you see spirits in there worshiping. And to the right, you see a campfire, and there's only one or two people sitting around it.
So Matt would be very interested in the temple, but he's first going to go to the right to see if one of them is Emperor Zilithan.
One of them is Emperor Zilithan. And he's sitting at the campfire with just another couple of emperors, and they're discussing all of the places they traveled to. And he looks up and he sees you, and he says, "I never thought to see you again.
Matt would take
you are on that side of life."
Matt would take a very deep bow and say it's good to see him.
And he tells you, "Have a seat." He says, "What brings you here?" And he starts laughing like he knows. I bring you here.
Matt would be like, "Yeah, we're here to bury some schmuck."
The other two kind of like their eyes pop open, and Zilithan starts laughing. And he's like, he looks at them and he's like, "If you met these guys, you would know."
Yeah. So Matt would just kind of give him an update on what happened and try to get any information he had if he's willing to share it. But what happened to him?
He can tell you right where his body is.
Matt would be very interested in that.
Yep. Well, that's not true. He can tell you where he was murdered.
Yes.
So
yep.
He was murdered on his way back from visiting your estate.
A long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Jeez.
Yep. That he does not know. Somebody threw a bag over his head and stabbed him in the back. So he does remember not long after that hearing the sounds of shoveling before his spirit was released from its body. So he would tell you that he thinks he's buried nearby.
Okay.
He was probably a half a day's travel up the road from your estate, back towards the palace.
Matt would ask him what he wants with his body.
He just laughs. He says, "Leave it. I found my way here." It's like, do what you want with it, but I don't need it.
You know, kind of figured that, but okay.
I mean, but on that note, like, so we had this conversation, all of us before, about, finding the body, and I don't remember the outcome of that conversation. Like, if we asked the Empress, like, if we were able to find it or obtain it, like, did we?
We did not have a final decision on what we were going to do with it. I think we were going to ask her what she wanted to do with it.
At the moment, the only thing I did was hire a devil to find it.
Well, I found it. Matt would covertly mention about the Emperor's wife and just be like, so, your wife. That was unexpected.
I'm gonna roll an insight. Oh, yeah, he knows exactly what you're talking about. He's like, that was one of the unfortunate happenings of my passing. I'm surprised she hadn't already left the country. Stubborn woman. He said he would consider it a personal favor if you were to see that she came to no harm.
That is at the top of our list. Did we actually set up the mansion for her?
Yeah.
I would walk him through. Like,
Yep.
We've already worked on that.
Yeah, because the guards got all mad because they unloaded all the elephants. They unpacked the station wagon, and then you decided to go to a hotel instead of camp.
That's right. Primo. Yeah, so I would ask if there's anything else he wants of us.
No, you get the impression that he's genuinely at peace, and you see it on his face. That like the cares and the worries of the war and all the other stuff. It's just gone.
Yeah, which I get. Well, Matt says he wishes him luck in his adventure.
He thanks you.
He's going to go find his siblings to make sure that they're not causing problems. But he would ask if the Emperor knew anything about the Black Emperors.
He knows, the basic info of what everybody else knows. It's something where they're talked about, but nobody talks a lot.
Okay.
They're not, in the culture, they're really just worth mentioning as bad history and moving on.
And nothing about the Onyx figurine?
That he actually says he had nightmares of it shortly before his death. He doesn't know what it is, but you mention an Onyx Falcon, and he gets really uncomfortable. It's like out of all these people, like telling him, even though they were bickering about the way the Empire went, you never got a sense that they were unhappy. They were just fighting because it's fun to fight. This is a moment of genuine discomfort as he tells you that thing haunted his dreams, and he doesn't know what it is.
I would apologize for disturbing his rest.
He says it's not your fault, and he's kind about it, but whatever it is, it bothered him.
Okay. Then Mad will make his way out and refer to his own devices.
Sounds good.
And then, he would just be interested to have conversation with the theologians.
They actually shush you and go back to chanting.
Well, of course they do. Mav just kind of waves his fish at him and walks away.
I've got my wish fish here.
And then he will appear back in the material plane at the intersection.
Sounds good. So you unload on everybody all of the things you learned. And there it is.
I think I'm going to go back to this dead body and just loot it. See if there's anything.
No.
The dead body? It doesn't belong here.
Don't loot anything.
No,
don't.
Sure?
No. Yep.
But
leave it be.
But that's not part of. Should I take it into one of the rooms so it's part of their?
I would be all for just leaving it right there, right?
All right.
Let the workers deal with it later. The next time they're back.
I mean, Mav's not too adamant about too many things, and you just like.
Okay.
Matt would tell you that he has no idea if that is considered looting or not, but he would rather not find out.
We could ask.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or we could leave him.
All right. I mean, he might have like a note on him or something. He might have something important, or at least.
You already looked for that stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
We did give him a once over.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I was trying to. I didn't catch that. I apologize. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
that was
with
the
leaving
first
his
thing
crap
Mav
out of-
did right before you gave him a physical pat down.
Yeah.
I will
awesome.
cast Magic Mouth on him.
All right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And give him my Magic Mouth.
Gosh.
The trigger would be when somebody comes by it, by the corpse.
Goes off, says, "Don't touch me, leave me alone."
Basically, just says
Don't touch me. Okay.
something along those lines of like, did we find out what his name was?
No.
Never
Oh.
asked. Don't care.
Yeah, so I would just
He's
a
funny.
short message. It's more or less as, don't touch me, leave me alone.
Okay.
This so and so, he was stupid. The end.
All right. So, are you guys taking the sarcophagus in to the wing?
If Mav says that's where he found the Emperor, then yeah, that would bring it over to him.
Right on. All right. So you take it down and you pass a chamber with 2 sarcophagi in it. It's got a different Emperor's house symbol on it. And then you pass the next door and it's got Zilithan's house symbol on it. And the end of this hallway looks like it is freshly tunneled out. Like when they said seriously there were not many that went this way, they weren't kidding. There's only 3 down here. And there's, from what you saw in the other rooms, what Mav saw, there's lots of them in the other rooms. And when you pass through the campfire room, it's like the fire kind of glows a bit brighter and the place kind of feels a bit happier. And you can almost hear your old friend laughing. Like, that's my box.
Yeah.
I'm not in it.
Jeffrey, so Mav would tell us that the Emperor died a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would Mav let us know where he is in the room?
I mean, you could ask him.
I only want to because I want Jeffrey hasn't seen the Emperor who was his friend since before he actually had his current reconciliation.
I would probably identify where it is so we could all take a bow before we take his house.
Jeffrey wants to make sure that he knows that whatever hand the king had in his reconciliation of faith was fulfilled, and he would show him his wings, and he would show him that he's now actually a dwarf, and like that he has been reconciled.
Whoa. Keep your foot away. Keep the pants on. No need to show.
Oh no, that he had nothing.
I'm
to
a
do
real
with.
dwarf. Pants.
No. But knowing that the way that the martyr had spoken that he had been sent to the Emperor specifically, and that the Emperor had a hand in that, Jeffrey would want the Emperor to know that, like, it came to be.
Jeff, make a perception check.
All right. Perception. Ba-doo. Jeff really likes seeing things.
Okay. So everybody sees some of this and it's a little uncomfortable. The leaves on the trees that are growing here begin to rustle and shake, and the cart moves just a little bit. But Jeff, you watch as the fire flickers, and out of the smoke you see a figure form, and it just reaches up and it puts its hand on your forehead. And you don't feel anything because it's just smoke, but you know that's what it's done, and then everything goes back to normal.
Divine sense.
There are lots of undead in the area.
You are dead.
Jeff is just like, it never gets any less weird. All right. So we bury him. Are we checking out the death room, or are we?
Right now, no. Right now, we're burying the king.
Well, yeah. I mean, after that.
Yep. Oh, I figured you already did that. That this incident with you guys bowing happened on the way out.
No, they could have.
That was what I thought happened.
Same.
So you're going to dismiss the Empress then, I'm guessing?
Yes, and then we'll come back in and...
Sure. I would make sure that we were aware that we promised Zilphid that we would get his, we would take care of her, make sure she was safe.
100%.
Okay. So you go out, and what's your plan for that? You're teleporting her to your keep?
Yeah, I was going to go into the mansion, the extra-dimensional space there, and use teleportation circle and send her
Right on.
to our
Shoot.
keep.
Can we ask one more question of the Emperor? If there's anything he'd like to tell his wife? And if not, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's fine, because you did talk about her. If you wouldn't have brought her up really at all, I don't think I would have.
And that would be okay.
He would smirk, and he'd be like, "You tell her this in private."
Absolutely. And Matt will make note of that and tell her in private.
And he says, "Tell her that I still think her ears are her second best feature."
Ghost boner.
Okay. So we arrive back at the Empress.
Do we?
Yes.
Do we arrive?
You do not have a problem going back
Okay.
to speak to the Empress. Come down the steps, and she's glad to see you come down the steps, because you did take a bit longer than she had thought. And you come down the steps with a roast and a pie and a fish.
That place is pretty legit.
She nods and she says, "Yes, it is."
Any infirm or I don't remember. The pool can fix it.
They're not in the honor guard. They can't go in. They would not go in.
Ooh, we may not anymore be in the honor guard.
Well, frick. We'll have to kill another emperor.
I would ask the Empress to join me inside the mansion real quick.
Okay.
And I would tell her what the Emperor said.
She'd start to cry. And she would tell you that it was her smile, and she never smiled enough. Because it's the whole thing. She was just constantly in hiding, and it weighed on her.
Yep.
And so she was notoriously a cold individual, and now knowing what you know, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And so smiles were a very private thing.
Sure. Matt would also let her know that we know where he is buried, and that we can that he does not care where he is. He's fine with being there, but we would be willing to do what she wants.
Okay. That sparks a good moment of wife rage, because she rants a little bit about how typical that is of him. He doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "Well, what about me? I want to be able to visit where he's at, and I can't come back to this place." Blah. And she calms down, obviously.
Matt would mention that we would be honored to set up a area for his burial at our keep.
She thinks he would really like that. So,
thanks, Mav.
I would also like to have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
But I would actually like to have it with just you and me.
Okay.
I see how it is. I have my conversation with her on the open, and you're all like,
"Yeah, I'm aware of how that looks, and I'm okay with it."
Okay. So there's this line of people outside the mansion that want to have private conversations with the Empress.
When
on her day of mourning,
when Thranok goes in, I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna tell Mary Lee.
I will just type it out to you, Mike.
Yeah.
And then, because there's no immediate impact
that you think of.
That's fine. And so then you guys, do you want to go back inside?
Are we able to?
You would be able to. It's just very not traditional.
Yep. So
it's like really not traditional.
What I want to make sure we do is Rary's telepathic bond with the Empress and her entourage, as many as we can. So when we teleportation circle them back to our keep, they're able to tell us if they made it there or not. So we can step through if things go wrong and end up where they are to help. Because the last time I tried to use teleportation magic, we ended up in Angry Ghost Daddy's house.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't teleportation circle, was it? No, it was.
No, it was.
Somebody had messed with it.
Because Thanak used Investiture of Stone to avoid a lot of mayhem, and you guys were able to clear out a spot and get that off before the Maroots found you.
Yeah, but there was something specific that messed with that, wasn't there?
I believe so.
Yeah, Asmodeus or something. Somebody.
No, I believe it was the Maroots that did it.
Was it?
Because they were coming after you in the mansion.
That's right.
And they were already disrupting your magic in the mansion. That's what it was.
Yep.
So Jeff's a little gun shy on teleportation, so I guess I probably would consult Thanak first and see if he has any opinion on...
Thanak always has an opinion.
Teleportation magic
I
now.
do. It's true.
And whether or not it would be safe to teleport them.
Safe to teleport them where? Using
to the keep.
Using
Circle.
Circle. I don't see why not.
Well, we didn't see why not last time, so
should be fine.
Okay. Yep, I'll give it a go. Rary's telepathic bond.
You know it got used a lot before the war.
That's true.
So
a little warm, I know. Okay. But I would also make sure that everyone else is preparing an action to
go save people,
jump through the portal if we need to, and have one of them prepare the action to respond that they have ended up at the keep and that it's safe, or if it's not.
Sounds good. Everything goes off without a hitch.
Cool.
Except for the elephant. I don't think you could teleportation circle an elephant. Or the camels. Right. I mean, there's a bunch of camels too, so like there's a big pack of caravan animals. You know, the caravaner doesn't really need anymore because he tried to run away. Well, actually, you guys told him to go back to his shop and behave.
We did tell him to do that.
Yep.
It does not specify a size on the creatures. It just says any
creature. Well, yes, but you know, if you put an elephant in the room where your teleportation circle is, all that's getting in that room is an elephant.
I want to do that so bad.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can now.
What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, my microphone is totally dead. I'm using the one on my camera.
Oh, that really sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out later, but whatever.
All right. On that note, would we be able to tell at some point the shop owner that he's not actually going to be killed because we knew the people that were trying to ambush us, in a sense?
Do we want to? I feel like we could probably leverage that pretty heavily.
I mean, I feel like we could too. I'm just giving options.
We'll tell him later. Let him sweat it out a little bit. He was kind of a wanker about it.
He did try to set us up.
And kill the Empress, yeah. I mean, in reality, he's a traitor. The Empress will probably deal with him later. Actually, we should probably get her opinion on that.
Probably.
We'll get her opinion on that. You guys want to go back inside? Check out
that is the question.
I mean, we could try. I don't know that it's a great idea, but we are currently off contract now, too, I'm guessing. Which means anything we do, we are liable for our own behavior. Which is exactly how I like it to be, but, you know.
Well, here's the deal. Mav does not like the fact that is potentially open and they are potentially escaping. However, Mav also knows that we do an excellent job of not doing things properly, and we could, in fact, release whatever's out, the Black Emperors, into the world.
Do we know anyone that we could reach out to that would actually have insight on this specific situation? The general in Euros, maybe? He seemed to know a lot of things that people shouldn't know.
Gravel Boot probably wouldn't.
Okay.
The magistrate you met there, maybe? Yep. I mean, the Empress was probably your best line on that.
And she didn't know anything.
No, she didn't know anything. She'd been in there before.
Right.
She didn't know anything about the Onyx Falcon. But as far as like procedures for going in and out of the ziggurat, she would know that stuff.
Oh no, I meant the dark or the Black Lords and the Onyx Falcon specifically.
The Onyx Falcon is probably a pretty solid dead end for a bit. Mary Lee might pull through on that.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Because we probably don't want to leave that in the hands of the guys that are trying to spread a army for Asmodeus. Just a thought.
It's probably a good thought.
We could ask Asmodeus about it and see if he'll respond. Because it is kind of on his land right now.
Does that tip our hand to the point that we have issues?
We've never had a hand.
Well,
I have two.
No, I think... I thought we had a hand, and it's become more evident that the Lord of the Nines might actually be more powerful than us, at least for right now. And maybe
that's great.
Maybe he's better off not to be, completely trifled with. Oh, hands. But at the same time, I'm all about it because he's been an absolute riot, and being on his just off bad side has been a lot of fun.
So that you want to be frenemies with Asmodeus?
Yeah, definitely. Enemies with benefits. Do we want to maybe try and reach out to him on that? I mean, this is kind of, just from the looks of it, a big deal. And I mean, we could definitely pull the not our problem card, but I think this one's actually our problem.
Remind me, what are we talking about?
The Dark Lords and the Black Onyx that Falcon. And the open door down at the end with the black ooze leaking out in the ethereal plane.
So why are we wanting
fog,
to...
Not ooze.
Fog, sorry.
Yeah, why oozy fog? Why are we wanting to contact... Why are you thinking to contact Asmodeus?
Because I'd rather be on his side in this if we're fighting something powerful. Now, if we find out that he wants to play with it himself, we'll go punch him in the dick, but...
And he's I think his original argument was it's on land that he is considering his at the moment.
Yeah.
And we could possibly get a little bit of good air in our relationship by letting him know that there's a taint in the middle of his gooch.
I mean, the other side of that, though, is if he is that much, exponentially stronger than we are, and we tell him, hey, we found this.
You want to pay us to get rid of it for you? Let's do the granite back thing.
What if he's doing that on purpose and he wants this out? Now we have told him, hey, we found this, and he immediately smites us down.
We had a heck of a story.
See, you're looking at this from the angle of we can ingratiate ourselves.
Oh no, I don't want to ingratiate anything. I just want to find out what's in the hole, and
yeah, I don't want to involve as at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's too.
I mean, as a real statement, we heard from the martyr that the martyr utilizes him.
Sure.
You watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's a tool. We can use tools. We're really good at it. We're granite-backs.
To be fair,
we're
tool.
Not the martyr. We're proficient with all tools.
That was the angle I was coming from.
Yes. Tops.
Nah, we're not that far below it. Give yourself some credit. You're a bastion after all. Maybe, but not you. That's all.
Yeah, no, my thought process is until we know that this is not Asmodeus is doing,
Yep.
then we don't need to have a conversation with him about it.
Sounds good. Let's go kick down the door.
Asmodeus.
Yep. It's on his
Asmodeus,
business card.
Asmodeus.
We made them.
Asmodeus, Asmodeus.
All right, so you head back to the doors.
Yeah.
There's no problem going through the temple. There's a cultural sense of this is. It'd be similar to digging up a body you're not supposed to. That's the cultural feel that you get, and you're like, man, this is not okay. We shouldn't be doing this, but we have to do this because this thing that's happening. And you get to the doors, and one of them is smashed down. It's laying on the floor. It's at a really odd kilter. The other one is still on its hinges, and the black fog is behaving very tentacly and reaching out, but it doesn't seem to go much past the door.
So my first thought is, can we do anything divine to push back the tentacles?
We could try.
I mean, do we think we can fix this? I mean, the door. Can we like physically fix the door?
I would like to cast Greater Restoration on the door.
On the door?
I'll cast Mending.
I mean, there's definitely pieces of the door you could mend. If you picked it up and put it back into place, you'd be able to mend the hinges and things of that nature.
Let's mend.
Is the door magical?
It's got a faint sense of magic, constructionary magic.
You guys are the greatest
You
artisans
could use mending on
the
it.
Krena Empire has ever known, and you don't think you can fix a door? Just pick it up.
I don't. Yeah, we don't have the tools for it. Is what I'm saying. This might be.
You probably have your tools with you.
I have a hammer.
We do, but I mean, we have our tools with us. We have our travel tools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a difference between like I'm the world's greatest blacksmith, but I still need my
Yeah,
I still need
but
metal.
it's a good start. I'd say we have a good start here.
It's totally thinking of a forge and the tools that you would have around your forge versus what you would just be carrying on.
Yeah.
But it does look like you could pick the door back up and put it in place.
Yeah. Let's do that.
So Mike, with mending, when you use mending on an object that's magical, it stops being magical.
It does?
Yeah, it says it doesn't
As per
magical state.
the description of the spell,
So here's how I would rule this. You could use mending and fix the stonework around that held the door. It could put the door back up, and most of it would remain still magical.
Okay.
And this place was built not so much as warding magic, but just endurance to keep up with time.
So yeah, I mean, I'm game to try.
Okay. So you guys go to pick up the door, and you realize that it is off kilter because there is a body underneath it.
Got him.
Oh, of course there is.
It is been crushed by the door, and the door is heavy. You do 4 could obviously lift it. You got a belt of giant strength hanging out with you, and 2 of them. So it's like not a big deal. You know, you can just pick the door up. But this small, probably 12, 13-year-old individual, or maybe a tall halfling. That is what is happening. I don't want to look at that.
What happened to the man's bosoms?
Oh, cheers.
It's Synthol.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's terrible.
He is smooshed.
No mouth left, I'm guessing.
His head's pretty crushed. Yeah.
Yeah. No speak with dead on that one.
Yeah. Well, let's.
What if I cast mending on his skull?
That would work.
I don't like that idea.
I
think
mean,
that would work.
It's an object.
It would work.
It's not technically an object.
I don't like that.
All right. The first part of that cut out, so I actually thought Mike agreed and said that it would work.
He did.
It would work.
Oh, he did.
Yep, a body is an object. Inanimate. object.
Dude, you do it. Come on, what are you waiting for?
I don't
Just do it.
appreciate that.
What are you talking about?
Speak with Dad again.
Fantastic use of the stuff.
I can't use
What'd
it.
you
No.
say, Mike?
My
Jeff
robe.
can't speak with Dad again today.
No. Next
Not
level.
today, but I mean,
Next level, I'll be switching out one of my spells for it, but not right now.
I can cast mending and just bring his skull along with us.
Make a necklace for talk to laters. That's looting. Leave it here. Can't take it.
Friendship bracelet material.
We were told we
So you
can't
put
take
the door
things.
back into place. Mav rolled a fantastic woodworking roll on some of the hinge work and stuff that goes around that. So that's gone back into place.
Guys, are we ever going to use our crafting points again? I have so many of them.
I know it's what we just kind of got out of a place where you guys would have time to do it.
Yeah, we could.
Coming up here real soon, I'm going to give you a chance to really like blast through that stack.
I don't even know how much I have.
A lot.
Did we ever learn how much a soul coin was worth, Mike?
It's 1,000 gold.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys,
But that's only available to like extremely rare vendors.
right,
Yes.
like the Night Noble. I could have paid him in soul coins.
Yeah, so could I. I have 26,000 or 2,600 soul coins.
He honestly would not have taken them.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right.
Yep. He would have told you to he would have written you a line of credit and told you to go, pointed you towards a vendor. But
Go cash those
he
in. I'll
wasn't.
take them later.
Yep. So yeah, those are great rolls. Smith's tools, everything goes up. I mean, when you're tinkering is still a 26. When you're level 5, it's still a solid roll.
As a note, I am half proficient in all of you guys' skills from the very beginning of our time together.
Yeah, but you can't help all of us.
No, but I could help one of you.
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying is, Thanak, if you want
roll.
I would see that Thanak is like just staring at the wall for a good half a minute. Like it looks like he's still doing something, but it's like, buddy, you all right?
I'm reading the wall's mind. Jeez, it's not even still not even that much better.
Still not much better.
It still breaks the threshold.
So you guys now you can barely see. You have dark vision, and you can barely see into this room at all. Like you're talking 2-3 feet past the darkness. And as you put the door into place, you see a bandaged hand reach out towards the door, and the door goes into place. And as soon as it goes into place, all of the tendrils of blackness get pulled into the room. And the door, you watch as magic washes over the door, and a magic mouth appears.
Hey!
Who dares utter the words to pass the black doors?
Nope. Matt is going to walk away.
Not even talking. No words. Just
It's
close
so
the door.
funny that you use magic mouth because nobody uses magic mouth.
Right, nobody uses it. It's
Nobody.
a stupid spell.
It's D&D all my life, and maybe twice somebody has mentioned magic mouth.
Yeah.
Filbert used it twice.
I only used it because it was in Filbert's book that he added today.
Well, I don't remember doing that.
I used it once to prank Thanak to make him think that his pants were talking.
I mean, it didn't work.
No, it didn't. He completely knew. And I used it once. Where were we? We were trying to get the elf to come out of his hidey hole. And I wanted the mouth to sound like one of his friends. But then you asked me, do you know what his friends sound like? And I went, no. So the magic mouth just sounded like me pretending to be somebody else.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember either of those instances
when we were in the tomb with the angry elf.
Yeah, I remember that, the angry elf.
We were trying to get him to come out of hiding because somebody spotted him or knew he was hiding or something. And you guys like, do you have anything you want to do to try and bring him out?
That was when we were commoners.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of the right spot then. We were trying to get somebody to come out of hiding.
No, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure that was in the poop cavern.
The poop cavern, you were not commoners.
Troglodytes?
But I don't remember.
Troglodytes?
I don't remember. Interesting.
Either way.
All right.
It doesn't
So-
matter. But
It looks like you have, at least for now, successfully contained the Dark Lords. And it looks like you're not quite sure why that happened at the end. If they were just about to come out, or if they were waiting for you to be close enough to reach for you, or what. But there was definitely an attempt made in there. But the magic seals seem to be back in place now.
That's good enough for math.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys heading out?
Yep.
We still have a mansion outside. Do we want to just sleep in there for the night and then
Sure.
go check
Okay.
out the temple or something?
Some of us have used some higher spells that we used to get back, so yeah.
Is there any stipulations with the contractual agreement for our safe passage? Was it like time wise, or are we gonna be okay to spend the night?
You got the impression that you were to be about your business and then head out.
Okay, so if
And
we
we are going about our business still.
And technically,
So-
that door, unless somebody's pretty powerful, they're not going to find it. Like, Asmodeus probably knows right where the door is. Like, we know that. But, like, outside of him,
When
only
we
people
get
who-
outside, I'd like to use True Sight to see if there is a scrying orb following us.
Not currently.
I think you can also use see invisibility to see that.
Yeah.
That is where I have seen visibility.
I do.
You haven't?
I do. In my
Well,
so
that,
I-
lets,
ring.
that lets you that lets you see the ethereal plane as well.
It does? Never knew that. I thought it just let you see invisible people.
Nope.
So you guys
Huh.
slip into the mansion for the night, rest,
Yeah.
get your spell slots back. In the morning, when you come out, all your animals are gone.
Oh.
Oh, somebody stole our animals. Is there like theft or prey?
Did we just forget to hitch them?
It doesn't seem to be any signs of struggle. So, but there's a lot of stuff on them. I mean, the royal family and the guards took everything that was really valuable, but there was still a lot of stuff. Like if you take royals camping in the desert, you're going to bring a lot of stuff.
Oh, but there was like 4 elephants and 12 camels.
There's 2 elephants and 12 camels.
Frick. How the frick are we gonna?
We blew that one, boys.
Well, I mean, they're not our camels.
No, it's not our stuff. Like, we would have been stealing if we would have kept it all.
It's true. But they were rentals.
Yeah, they were rentals.
From
So
the
the-
guy who wanted to kill us.
The caravan rental guy is going to send you a bill.
That's
Well,
fine.
he won't be sending us anything.
get-
that
we'll-
guy owes
we'll-
us his life.
We'll
We'll send them.
the Empress's stuff taken care of.
We'll send them a letter. I'll send them an illusory script letter
Nice.
that like says 2 different things depending on who. To him,
So-
it's just a straight up threat.
How do you guys want to handle getting home? You could head back to Capanis down the road that brought you here, but you have no
ways.
supplies. You could still use the mansion, which is
Mansion.
full of supplies, or you could teleport home. Your business on this side of the planet is pretty much done unless you want to go harass that guy.
Do we want to go look at that temple?
The tower.
The tower in the lake.
Tower?
I kind of really do, but
Yeah.
I also know that we are now behind enemy lines and we are no longer welcome here.
I mean-
So-
There's a piece of this where we're the granite backs. We go wherever we want.
oh yeah, 100%. I'm in. I'm in to win. Like, I'm just making sure that, like, when we start a war, we know it's our fault.
No, it's not our fault. Legally speaking, we have every right to be here. They are the ones who are illegally
Yep.
what's the word I'm looking
Murica.
for?
Occupying.
Squatting.
Occupying.
They're
I mean,
squatting.
Yeah, I mean, just because if an illegal
I like bread.
law is telling you to do something,
Yep.
this is like France coming over and saying, "Hey, you can't eat cheese anymore."
No.
Listen, I'm gonna eat all the cheese I want.
Yeah.
This is not your country. This is not your land. Go home.
So, are you investigating the tower, or are you headed home?
Absolutely.
Panic is now
taking her up to Empress and all of her stuff.
They went. You teleported them back to, but I mean, the elephants
and all her stuff.
Well, they took any of their personal stuff they would have wanted. Like, but there was a lot of expensive equipment with those elephants, like huge pavilion tents, things like that. Those probably would have gone with them.
6
Those
or
are
7
expensive.
spyglasses.
Shut up. You and spyglasses. I'll never forgive you.
Wow, it's pretty strong language.
I will never forgive you.
I never.
You can't.
You're
You
playing
can't
a one
say it
shot,
like that and
and I
expect me
had
to
a chance to
not
give
laugh
her
at you.
spyglass, and he broke it on purpose. And I was like, and I was so clear about not doing anything terrible to the spyglass because they're worth a fortune. And then
I
he went
threw
and
it on the ground.
so mad. I'm still mad. I'm
It
furious.
was cursed. I know it was.
Not cursed. It was a spyglass. It was a big piece of the treasure of the dungeon. And you
Which dungeon are you talking about?
It was a
Cowboy
one
ran
shot.
a holiday, like Halloween one shot.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yep.
Heladan is so mad at me.
Yep. So you guys head out towards the edge of the lake. Mav, as you get closer to the edge of the lake now in the tower, you see that the tower is surrounded by some sort of magical field.
Interesting. Does this appear
It
to be
extends really far out. What?
Does this appear to be like a mage tower?
It easily could be a mage tower. There's no real way to define that, but with its odd placing in this magical field that extends way out into the lake, it is very possible.
That was my first inclination that it might be a mage tower.
There was a mage tower somewhere else with a big bubble around it too, wasn't there?
Most of them have big bubbles around them.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
do
just
they?
Venus Tower that we screwed up.
No. Oh, that's
Yeah,
not
we
these guys,
did.
was it? No, I'm trying to think of one we actually came across, but I don't think that was these guys now that I think about it.
I don't think it is.
That was El Buscador, wasn't it? Okay.
I think so. Yes, because you saw the tower that you guys actually went to in the astral plane before it got poofed to the astral plane. You witnessed the beginning of the event.
That's what that was.
Yep.
Okay.
But you do know that most mage towers do have defenses that can be activated around them.
Any iconography at all? Any symbolism at all in this tower?
It is similar stone to what you would be able to pull out of the environment, so it was probably quarried locally somewhere, or it was recreated to look like it was. But you don't even see any windows or doors now that you've gotten closer to it. You're only on one side of it. You could travel around the whole lake and get a 360-degree view. But the one look you're looking at, it looks magically protected and it looks very smooth without any real entrance.
I'd like to go around it.
Okay. So you take a travel around the lake, make perception checks for me.
I'd also like to use True Sight to see if I can see anything.
Okay.
Perception.
Nope. Nope.
Yep.
Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
Who am I missing here? Who hasn't rolled yet?
Hang on, I'm getting there.
Okay. Well, for sure, Jeff. Othig, you catch it too. You guys are observing for it. You're looking for it now. Jeffrey, you do see maybe not your friend who attacked you on the tower, but you definitely do see another large undead bird of prey circling the tower, and then it flies off over the mountains.
Do we feel like it saw us?
Most certainly. Well, it's undead, so if it was a regular bird of prey, most certainly. But as an undead, you don't even know if it has eyes that work normally.
Right.
But there is an entrance on this side of the tower, as Mav is circled around. It looks like a small boat landing, and you don't see any boats though, but it looks like there's a dock on the tower, and there's a dock on your side of the boat. And over the entrance to the tower, it looks like there's a pair of wings and a bird head like carved into the stonework. and on the dock it looks like there is a carved image of a bird of prey. It's kind of hard to tell what it is. It's very stylized. It could be really any kind.
Sure.
Does that ring a bell with any of us?
Nope. Not particularly. You can make history checks, but it wouldn't be an easy one. It would be something you'd have to think about.
Then I have a bardic inspiration as we sit down and ponder this.
And the guidance.
Okay. Gosh, terrible. Plus D10.
And a D4.
Oh, that's not bad.
So 30. All right.
30.
Danak, you do remember a house of Kren nobles from the city of Aranimus that have a very similar stylized falcon as their family symbol. And you think of them only because there was so much talk of the Onyx Falcon, but this is definitely not blackened or any way like that, but just the similar language pops it into your head.
And who are they? Like,
They're-
what would I
they're-
remember about them?
Not much other than they were a noble house. It would be a connection like maybe when you were in your militia years, you bumped into somebody from the house who had the symbol on their stuff. You
Okay.
guys never really would have had a lot of contact with Aranimus. At this point in history, it is a very forgettable town.
Okay. Okay.
It's a big town, but they do a ton of like real basic mining and things like that. But it's like, well, we put a town here because there's resources here.
Yeah.
We put it down here because there's resources here.
Which is why a lot of them were where they were.
Yep. So that's it, though.
Can we knock on the door?
Well, the door's across the lake. You're on a small dock that has the symbol on it. The door is across the lake on the other side of a force shield.
I will cast walk on water
Okay.
on all of us.
Okay. You start walking out. You get to the edge of the shield. It's very clear to everybody now. As you get closer to it, you can actually see the magic in the air. Mav can see it very clearly, but you guys can make out the blips and the sparkles, and things start to waver a little bit as you get close.
Do we think? Sorry, as we're walking, I'm gonna say this because when approaching a mage's tower, they usually expect you to go through like an approval process. Was the boat? Should we get in the boat?
There is no boat. You don't see a boat at the tower or at the dock, but there's a dock on each side for it. There's a dock out in the lake at the tower, and there's a dock line on this side of the lake.
Thanak, do you still have that folding boat?
Folding boat? I never.
Oh, that wasn't you. That was Lady Kane.
Yeah.
That was Lady Kane. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know a lot about wizards or their eccentric behavior, but like I think just walking up to the door. Was there a button we missed? Was there like a buzzer?
You didn't see anything like that. It was a stone dock.
Is there any glyphs on the ground?
Just the carving of the falcon on the stones. It's about 6 large, like really large sandstone blocks, and then a post where you'd hitch a boat to it, and on the ground in the blocks was carved a falcon.
Touch.
How tall is this place?
Tower? It's probably 300 feet tall. It's big. It's real big.
I'll just knock on whatever could be considered like the front of this.
Well, you're on the outside of the dome, and the dome is very far from the.
Oh, that's right. We're on the outside of the dome.
Yeah. You're maybe 100 feet offshore, and that dome covers the tower about 100 feet offshore for this whole lake because it's fairly round. Here, let me pop that map back up.
Is this? Is it?
You guys are here.
Is it a dome or is it a semicircle?
It's definitely, well, it's hard to tell. It's a circular thing.
Since we're out in the water, if we go down below the water surface, does the dome continue?
Yes.
I'm gonna cast see invisibility on myself, just to
That's a
have
little
that for
too
the
big.
next hour.
Yeah, it's probably about like that.
Okay.
And then you guys are right here.
Does see invisibility allow me to see anything different about this space at all, or no?
No, it does not. And going under the water, it definitely looks like the dome continues down through the water. Then make a perception check under the water. It's at disadvantage because it's under the water, and this water is thick and cloudy because it's
I'm
very.
pretty sure it's at disadvantage because I'm Thanik.
That's possible. But you never know.
Hey,
I mean,
It's not bad in Vegas, but it's not real good here.
sevens.
I will cast Skywrite. Just says hello.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
In what language? Is it in Common or is it in Dwarvish?
I mean, it doesn't actually say anything about a language. So I will Common.
So you skywrite. It says hello.
Yeah.
You see a message pop back up in skywrite that says, "Politely get out of my leg." Followed by
That just happened.
politely go home.
I will write when I'll cast Skywrite again.
It would say, "Leave me alone."
That's fine.
It would be more. No, this character is a little more wordy. It'd be like, "I wish to be left in peace."
They took.
Don't.
Oh my gosh! Skywrite back. We have a wish fish. We can help with that.
I'll just shake the fish.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in.
No,
100% in.
Skywrite, that we have a fish that can help with that.
We have to take a step back for a second. Okay. You guys don't know me. You're sitting in your house watching the game. Some dude knocks on your door and says, "I have a wish."
No.
What's your response?
If in this scenario, if I'm sitting there and somebody in smoke writes in my living room, "I have a wish," I'm gonna answer.
To be fair, you have a wish and a pie and a roast.
Yeah.
And a herald.
No, Thanik is actually offended at the even the suggestion that you would offer this fish guy. This guy's clearly squatting on the Emperor's lands, and you giving away the Emperor's food wish.
I am not giving away the wish fish. This is
Kidding.
You just want him to know we have it.
I just think it's funny because you can all cast wish. Like 2 of you can cast
Right.
wish. So it's like the wish fish, but the wish fish can be used without the threat of losing wish.
Yeah.
So
it
and the
is
side
a
effects of casting wish.
It is the principle of the thing.
Yeah, right.
No,
that's
I
right.
will.
You got the wish. You didn't take wish. Got it right.
I will write back politely, and that's the first word.
Politely, let's talk. Politely, comma.
Legally to visit your land.
Politely.
Politely.
You're squatting.
Can we discuss this matter peacefully?
So
Politely, you're
in the
squat.
clouds appears
Politely.
politely no shiz. You're not leaving. I'll be right down.
Politely, thank you.
I don't know if that's a good thing, guys.
Awesome.
So
I'm gonna start casting teleportation circle. Just
you
in
watch
case.
as about 2/3 of the way from the tower towards you, where you're standing on the water, a large golden barge comes up out of the water. It is really interesting stylized, the way it's designed. You've seen a lot of boats now. You've done a lot of port travel. You haven't ever seen a boat that looked quite like this on, in your circles. It's similar almost to some of the boats the Southern Empire has created, but it's unique in its form. And at its head, there is a large winged bird mast type thing going on, and there is a man. Uh, he's really pretty young. He's wearing white robes,
What the heck?
and he comes up to the edge of the barricade, and he just looks at you and he says, "I am just trying to get home. My tower was moved here through a magical accident, and I don't want to be here. Please leave me in peace."
We might know a person.
I mean, it's possible we could help.
Do you want?
I do not think it is wise to bring anyone else into my space, as I am not from your plane of existence.
What plane of existence are you from?
I am from a different sphere. I am from a town known as a city, grand city in the desert, similar to this, known as Seraporsa. Have you heard of it?
No, but yeah.
No, but yeah.
I asked him his name.
His-
Von
No, it's not Von Richten. It's not.
No.
He would give you a Seraporsian name that doesn't mean anything to you guys.
We've rarely gone
He,
past
he is
30.
he is
Well, and then we got a late start because issues. So
like 5 minutes probably.
sorry.
I think about here. We can get a little bit more
If there's
information on
any
this guy. You can
plus
decide whether
side to
or not you
this,
want to pursue
I'm
this.
not like practically falling asleep right at the moment, so that's
No, I
cool.
can't.
for me.
I don't trust the guys.
But that's fine.
Another night.
Okay, so he introduces himself as.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot to mute because I don't have that function on my headphones.
It's okay.
That's fine. He introduces himself as Jarius Zarapatus, of the House of Falcons. The court. It's the court. They're
Yeah.
courts. They're not houses.
Welcome him to our plane.
Are the birds
And-
yours?
Yes, and that's why I think it's dangerous, because if they leave my bubble, they become troublesome.
I'm sorry, I broke one.
It was broke when it left. I'm sorry you were attacked.
Good.
So I think bottom line here is that probably as little information
Oh, Adam, you cut out a bunch. With as little information as possible.
shared between our groups.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know what's going on. On the other side of that, though, is the more information we have, the more we can help you get back to where you belong.
Mm-hmm.
He seems pretty forthcoming. He lets you know that he didn't want to be disturbed because he was in the middle of an experiment that took him about 4 hours to set up. But if you weren't going to leave him alone, he knew he was going to have to start over anyways.
Oh,
So,
Our apologies. One of us is very annoying and manages us at
Hey, you didn't look at me this time.
We all
I'm not
wanted to come
I'm not
over here
apologizing.
anyway.
but he does reiterate that he thinks the risk is great, because local animals that have tried to come into his space have suffered the same fate. So whatever the bubble around his tower that he did not put there created, then it's problematic. He said his boat and him alone are the only things that can pass between the tower and the dock. And he doesn't know why that is because he never had a boat before.
Do you have
So
any idea who brought you here?
He was conducting an experiment with multiplanar travel in his tower, and he's here.
Yeah.
He brought himself here.
Yes, by accident. And he feels trapped, and it's dangerous for anybody to pass towards him.
I know who I want to call. I want to call Belson.
You want to call Belson? Stone Sight.
Because Belson will go right through the barrier. He won't even hesitate.
No, I don't think he would. He wouldn't. He'd
He
send
put his
somebody
hand
else.
in a mana fountain. Oh, okay. That's fair. He'd send somebody else.
And he had a good idea of what the mana fountain would do. So
fair enough. Okay.
He'd send the big dumb barbarian through.
So I'll ask him, does it seem to be organic matter other than him?
Yes, this happens to any organic matter other than him that transports back and forth through it. And so he has left a few times to get supplies and then come back, but he seems to be the only one immune to the effect.
Can we communicate with him outside of the bubble? Or with him inside and us outside?
Make a persuasion check. He's been very friendly, but you can tell there's just you are just meeting somebody, and
well,
and I would say that we have contact with a lot of mages that may be willing to help him.
And he does think that might be very helpful.
Which is why I was trying to figure out if communication between the barrier was possible. Not that we could actually call him, just that it's a possibility that it won't be interrupted.
Yep. Magically speaking with him if we were to...
Yeah.
He honestly hasn't tried magically speaking with anybody through the barrier, but he doesn't see why it wouldn't work. Magical communication should work. He'd be hesitant to try teleportation, though.
So I have a question for this guy.
Yeah.
Does he think where he currently is considered Saraporsa?
This is where it would be if he was on his plane.
So like
if you had two maps laid on top of each other,
it
would be in this exact same position.
Well, so my question is if I cast Banish, if I banish him, where does he go?
He said he might go home, and he's like, and he does that smart person thing where like that answer is stupid. Why didn't I think of this?
But what about his tower? Can he cast Banish on his
move all of his stuff, and it would still be here.
Do you know anyone
from
the Prime?
On that, he'd rather try and find a way home, but if that was the only way he can get back, he'd very happily do that.
Do any of us know what Saraporsa is?
You have no idea where Saraporsa is.
Okay, so I would ask him, does he know anyone from the Prime? Does he have any affiliation with anyone from here?
He's like, I am from the Prime.
What? How did you get
every
Saraporsa in the first place?
Every sphere is its own prime.
Jeffrey's head just pops.
He's on the prime of his sphere.
Yes.
Gotcha. So Saraporsa isn't a realm of terror.
Not yet, apparently.
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
About 3 weeks.
Huh. And the guys that are like squatting on this land, any of them try and mess with you?
One of them tried to swim through the barrier. He's probably still in the lake somewhere.
Did he turn into a ghoul or something?
More akin to a zombie.
Bummer. Just instant death, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't die.
Nope. Then he's real confused.
Were you afraid to try it the first time?
I didn't have much choice because the first time I was he explains that the boat operates by thought. And so he and his familiar, which he manifests as a regular bird. It's not right now because he hasn't put the time back into resummoning it yet. Um, this version of it, it went. They were on the boat. He was learning to control the boat through thoughts and accidentally shot himself through the barrier. And the bird instantly turned and attacked him. And he shows you scars on his neck from where it raked his neck. Yeah.
Did you see if it does that every time?
Well, yes, because he's resummoned his familiar a few different times now and sent them out, and that's why there are 2 or 3 other undead familiar birds flying around.
That's weird.
Oof.
That's weird.
So, yeah, he's pretty sure it just doesn't go well for people on your side.
Yeah.
Really glad we didn't just cross the bubble. Just so you guys know.
I really wanted somebody to cross the bubble.
It would have been Othig. We would have gone, he has enough hit points to weather a thing.
And it would have been me because I was about to. I was about to. I was about to start testing the sturdiness of this thing by like
punching it.
My hand.
So nobody can come help you with your experiment. You just want to get home.
Well, you can come out here and run experiments, right?
You could.
And we can assist in those experiments.
You could.
Whether or not he needs. Here is one of the things that I'm worried about, not worried about, but is that if you come out here and or one of us banishes you, I'm worried that you'll just return back to the inside of the bubble and not actually go anywhere.
Yep.
Because I'm wondering.
You'd see him doing some mental gymnastics in his head, and he thinks it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But that's not a terrible possibility. It puts him back to the state that he was in before you walked out to visit him.
Right.
Are we trying to help fix this for him anymore, or maybe we should just kind of like leave him our contact information and say like, hey, if you think that we can help you, like we will, but since it kind of seems like we're at a loss.
I feel like Jeffrey believes we can help him. We would just need more time.
So let's leave him like a way to get in contact with us.
Yeah.
Give him our messaging service. Send him Marilee's contact information.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, just get in contact with us if you think that we can help you.
Tell him that we do some stupid stuff sometimes, so we're not always available. But this group is very good about getting a hold of us.
And twice we've been banished to other planes, and we made it back.
I mean, multiple times we've been banished to other planes.
Did we even tell him like why we came over here? Oh yeah, we kind of did tell him.
I mean, a little bit, but not really.
So
and you get the sense that this guy watches a lot of what's going on. He mentioned seeing people moving about out here.
Would he and I be able to take some time to sort of brainstorm some stuff? Not
make an Arcana check.
Forever, but to just kind of sit and put our heads together, come up with something, and then if nothing happens, then
I'm going to inspire you, Bennett.
Hey, 30.
Very nice. And Jeff is there, so you do get advantage on that roll.
Oh.
And you'd have guidance.
And I know Mav has Arcana too, so you'd be all be able to have it. Oh, that's terrible. So
with
33. So he's actually, as you guys all start to communicate, Nothig's definitely feeling like the third wheel on a Jewish courting date, not just a regular date. Like he's really odd man out. You four, the other 4 people here, really begin to talk about.
Hey guys, I cast a spell once.
Did once.
I know, it worked fine.
And then he finds out that your wife, your lady, is the head of a mage's tower here, planet side, and he's very encouraged by a lot of this. Like he's taken a lot of notes. You feel like you have definitely helped him along his way, a great deal.
Okay.
And he's like, you don't look all that smart. He looks at Mav and says, maybe that.
Yeah, is he looking at Othig when he says that?
Because Mav wears his order robes and he's got his crap put together, and the rest of you you look like bruisers.
Yeah.
Not so much,
Matt,
but
Matt
Jeff looks
also,
like a celestial little dwarfy Balrog thing.
Matt also, has the gray hair, the wisdom,
Yeah.
and would advise that he is not, in fact, the oldest.
Yep, there's that too.
Something smart, just not about magic.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't help that I'm wearing a tracksuit and you're wearing plate mail. We don't look like wizards.
No, you don't. Not at all. So, but he is definitely pleased with the conversation. Will reach out for more help if he thinks you could be of help to him. And yeah.
Cool. We made a friend. Maybe.
All right.
Kind of. Politely.
So are you headed out of here now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's
teleportation circle or walking?
Should probably teleportation circle.
We should go back to.
Oh no, we
Capanis.
gotta tell that guy that we lost all his animals.
Pay the rest of the lost animal fee.
So you actually don't have to do that. When you pass through the tower, you find the animals. The tieflings had come and got them. They don't fight you for them. They had a spy watching you, and when you all disappeared and didn't come back for several hours, they're like, oh, they left and grabbed the animals and took the road back.
Fair enough.
So they don't harass you about them at all. So you get your stuff back, you get back to town, you drop them off with Kian, and yeah.
When we get back to the tower, can I ask the tiefling about the tower in the middle of the lake? Just be like, what happened there?
It showed up one day. He sent one of his men to investigate, and he said he came back different.
Oh.
So he did come back.
Yes.
There's no story confirmed. Or wait, not
different.
Yeah,
I want to ask him what he means by came back different.
He looked like a zombie.
Oh,
so
the story confirmed.
He did not act like a zombie.
So he's just dead, but not dead?
Yep.
Oh, guys. What if we send one of the unliving through there?
It's an interesting idea.
That is an interesting idea.
What if we do that? I want to do it.
Do we have one? Do you have an unliving with you?
No, we can get the general, though. Guys, what if we put one of the
hang on.
unliving
Just
through
hang on a second. Can we positively identify that this man is now an unliving?
You cannot, because they killed him and threw him in the pit.
Okay.
Like, he couldn't convince his men not to do it, and it wasn't worth a mutiny.
Okay.
But it was clear by the way the man tried to bargain for his life that he was not run-of-the-mill undead.
So how about we just tell him from soldier to soldier, set aside differences of country and flag and can try to convince him that if somebody, to first of all leave it alone, but if somebody does go across that, don't kill them.
He would try to agree to that, but he said it wasn't really what he wanted in the first place. But it's pretty hard to tell a bunch of guys on guard duty in the middle of the night not to attack the thing that looks like a monster.
Yeah. Yep. If they can agree to simply cage them.
He says he thinks he can agree to that. But he's looking at you. He says, honestly, I was hoping I'd never see you again.
Yeah, your boss.
This doesn't sound like that.
The same thing a couple of times.
Well, go home and you won't see us again.
I knew someone was going to be like, at least we haven't drawn a penis on your face.
He very much wishes he could go home.
Yeah.
He said, if only I could.
Yeah.
On a side note, could we maybe quickly have one of the guys send a message to our new Tower Wizard friend and say, hey, we'd like to try something at the next available opportunity? We have a theory about something that happened.
Over the next course of days, you'd be able to communicate that to him as you travel back to Capanis.
That would be
with everything in tow. You return all of the animals to key in, and unless you want to harass him more or give him a job,
Oh,
I think.
oh,
Yeah, we were going to send him back to our place, and he was going to be useful for us doing something nefarious.
if he wants to. I'm not gonna kidnap him. But yeah, I mean, if he wants to.
Well, we're not going to kidnap him. I mean,
Kidnap's a strong word.
We were about to kidnap him last time. Don't
he's
give me
more
that nonsense.
he's more than happy to
I know, I'm
start a
saying
new
if we're
life
not going
someplace
to, like,
else.
what are we doing?
He's all about starting a new life someplace else.
Can you bring the urchins? They might be useful too.
He does not want to bring the urchins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
kinda
please
figured
don't.
you wouldn't.
But he basically says Capanis is going to hell and he'd love to get out. So he will go back with you. And then as you're moving through the marketplace, let me see who gets it. Who's gonna need to make the perception check?
Well, there's definitely somebody keeping an eye on his coin purse with all the urchins.
Yep. Yes. Right. Jeffrey, you get street bumped by somebody you definitely do not recognize, but they go ahead and make a perception check.
Mm-hmm. 17.
17 still good enough. They didn't take anything. Somebody dropped a small scroll case in your pocket.
I bet it's a wish spell.
They're fishing. Be careful.
I'm gonna use my mind.
It's a
rare
spell to
telepathic
summon a
bond.
wish fish.
I'm gonna ask Thanok. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have Thanok read that guy's mind, and then I would like to sleight of hand take a look at the scroll and see what it is.
Okay. Then I make a roll.
Yeah.
The guy's mind is pretty solid, but right when you're just about to pull back, you hear, "I hope this helps them. I hope that helps them."
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to discreetly take a look at the scroll and see if I can tell what it is. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you pull it out, you take a look at it. It's a real like commoner looking scroll. It's nothing fancy at all, but it says, "My old friends, rumor has reached me that Othig intends to enter the tournament. Beware, your lives are in danger." And it's signed Defiant Mercury.
Oh, snippy snap. Wait, who did he say was going to joining?
Othig.
What? No, what was the first part of it?
My old friends.
Yeah.
Rumor has reached me that
I'm sorry.
Defiant Mercury was the spy you guys hired.
Yeah.
Very
like
early on in the campaign.
That we put into the Red Rocks.
Yep, you sent him to work for the Red Rocks.
Yep. We also paid
Holy
him a
cow.
pretty decent chunk of change as just a retainer.
Yeah, you did. Yep, and apparently he has kept up his skills pretty well.
Did we ever find out? Like, we never met back up with him, or?
Oh, because we ended up slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we put him in, and then we never heard from him ever again because our lives got like.
Yes.
Yep. And then we completely forgot about him.
No,
we didn't forget
hired
about him.
Defiant Mercury afterwards, after you guys were slaved.
Yeah, but we knew something happened to him, and he was.
You sent him a get out code.
Yes,
and a
that's
bunch
what it
of
was.
money, and he disappeared.
And a bunch of money.
Because I want to say like he was working for the Red Rocks, and we found out that they knew about it.
Yep.
What a good callback. What a good callback.
Yeah.
But what did the note say again? The beginning of it.
It was my old friends. I hope you are well. Rumor has reached my ears that Othig intends to enter the tournament. Your lives are in danger. Signed, Defiant Mercury.
Okay.
Our lives are always in danger. Can you be more specific?
I mean, yeah.
Right.
We literally just almost walked through a death bubble.
I mean,
at some point, we're going to start getting letters that say, Gratipex, your life is not in danger.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Or we're going to be like, wait, what?
Hang on, but realistically,
we're screwed.
Like, before we leave the town, it probably wouldn't be how hard it would be to find that guy and maybe try to get a message back and find out like who dropped in a message for him.
For a reason.
I probably could contact him psychically, but I'm not going to.
Yep.
Yeah, spies are best off being spies. And not.
He definitely pocket dropped for a reason.
All right.
That'd be that's just the way that is.
Yeah.
If you didn't care if people knew that you helped somebody else, you wouldn't do a pocket drop.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true. Okay.
If anything, I can always cast sending later.
Sounds good. All right. So next week we will, if Othig still intends to do it, we will go to a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still need to do the 2 things that I wanted to do before I did the tournament.
I do remember you had some stuff to do. I thought we would do it in game. What were they?
I needed to talk with Ziz, and I need to find the Wandering Monk.
Oh yeah, we can talk about we'll talk about both of those things in game.
Cool.
So yeah, definitely.
As far as priorities go, time-wise, reaching out to the general and setting up the experiment to have him go through this thing.
He's not gonna go through it. Are you talking?
He absolutely will. He was so desperate.
The magistrate?
Yeah.
No, he would not. He's desperate, but he's not reckless.
Yeah, he would absolutely have some.
Yeah, he's rich enough to find somebody else to pay to do it.
Yeah.
So he would be rich enough to find another unliving.
Yep. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm a little wrap up. I've been holding the pee for.
Why you don't hold that? At least
Yeah, no, I saw that coming. We would contact Grissom or whatever his name is. I can't think of his name. And and he would bite at that, but not himself.
I think it's a wonderful, like, I don't like it just popped in my brain. I was like, dude, if it does a switcheroo on the whole life force thing.
It seems that that's what's going on. Except there still is some bird.
Something what?
Could there's something off about that, because the bird, when it went through his familiar, still
lost control of it.
Yeah, I know, but listen, birds can't see invisible.
Familiars can. Once you get to a high enough level as a wizard, your familiar can see with true sight.
But keep in mind that the human that went through did not become vicious. The birds are.
The birds became feral.
I mean,
no, he said it's happened multiple times.
Yeah,
the bird became feral.
Yeah, and stayed a bird, not a familiar anymore.
Yep.
So I have a question, Mike. Would we, and this is something that maybe we discuss over time with the dude in the bubble?
Yeah.
Could his birds, his familiar, see invisible before they went across the barrier?
Yeah, I think that would have been fair. That would have been discussed while you guys were having the magical powwow about the plight.
Yeah.
Yes, it is something that he is able to impart upon them.
Okay.
So,
and they
Yeah. It's more of a specialization in wizard schooling, but I think it's a fair one to assume, and yes, he did impart that upon them.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, I mean, that's totally not something I was thinking about. That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to.
Any other questions? So you guys will have 2 weeks for downtime activity with your characters, and then we will start with a few events.
Do we know when the unliving curse started?
2 years ago during the convergence crisis.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yep. Gosh, that bird.
Yeah.
Bird is the word, man.
All right.
Okay.
Do you think you're going to be able to play next